All right, you can bring us over. You don't have announcements either, do you?
Just one
Oh, you do have. Okay.
surprise.
Oh, you have one. That would be a yes. I'm live. That's okay. I've been observing other municipalities in their meetings and they have entire conversations before they start. Cool. So, welcome. Legislative session. We're going to stand for the pledge and we'll start the meeting.
Trustee Fritching,
Here.
trustee White,
Here.
Deputy Mayor Lopez, trustee Yost.
So Lopez is
Remote.
not here right now, but he'll be here momentarily. And Trustee Yost is coming later via Zoom.
Oh, okay.
And Mayor Levin.
Mayor 11. I
Here.
apologize.
Thank you.
Public hearing to consider proposed changes local law 2025 amending chapter 270 zoning RDD zoning district.
Mayor, I'm requesting that the board make a motion to cancel this evening's public hearing. I had earlier sent a note to the board about an hour ago. We received the comments from the County Planning Commission today. There are a few minor changes to be made, but in order to have a complete and correct version of the local law, what I'd request is that tonight's public hearing be canceled. It will be renoticed for an October date with all the changes as suggested by the county being made.
So moved as council stated.
Dana, you want to second it?
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
You,
Mayor and trustees announcements.
Okay, I'm gonna go to my left this evening.
Yes, next Thursday, 9/11 is our 9/11 ceremony with the combination of Briarcliff Hosting, OPD, BPD, or BMPD, right? Briarcliff Manor,
And all,
yeah,
and all the acronyms.
and all of those.
First
A
responder.
beautiful ceremony. 7 o'clock sharp down the riverfront. Hope to see you there.
Dana? You have no? Hello. Hello, Deputy Mayor here
Dear Mayor.
for
yeah.
attendance. Do you have any announcements?
Nothing new.
Okay. Pat Yost, are you on yet? I don't see him. He's not on yet, right? I think he said he'll be here at 8. Okay, I do not have announcements, so I was gonna do the 9/11, but you stole the wind out of my sails.
Thank you. Administrator report, village manager Karen Dottori.
Thank you. Good evening, everybody.
Evening.
So I'm going to start with some long-awaited good news. Last week, we did have the We Do out at Richard Wishney Park, and it was able to remove the algae. And we're looking to obviously replace the fountain, and also we are considering ways that we can mitigate some of the invasive species that have grown there and prevent future algae blooms. But we're happy to see that that was underway. This afternoon, Bill Garrison, Recreation Superintendent, and I met with Lorraine Novak from Dorot, which is an agency that specializes in supporting senior citizens, older people, through volunteerism, a lot of different programs. And they're interested in running a program here in Ossining. And the program's called Aging Alone Together. And it's a 6-week program where it's for people 60 and over who are facing some of the challenges and have concerns about aging alone. And want to meet other people and connect, but it also provides a 6 weeks course where they really talk about a lot of issues that maybe people don't want to always focus on. But if you're downsizing, decluttering, how do you get rid of 30, 40 years worth of stuff in your house? Or you think you have a will, but you're not sure, and you need to resurrect that stuff. Things. So every week it's a different topic, and they also have a tremendous amount of online resources, and it's a way to build community too. So we're pretty hopeful that we can facilitate that. The program would be offered to free. You would not have to be a member of the community center to attend. And it's at no cost to the village. So it's a nice thing that we can do to sort of round out our youth services with additional senior services. And they're looking to do that sometime in November, which should probably work really well because that'll likely be before we start any of the renovations at the community center. So it was a nice meeting and nice to, we're looking forward to being able to offer that to the community. I know that I reported on this, but I just want to reiterate, we will be breaking ground on the multimodal transportation hub, also known as a parking structure that's going to be located at the Brandreth site, probably starting to mobilize in October. We will be meeting with the contractor within the next 2 weeks to discuss the schedule. And at that point, we will make sure that we're in touch with the business owners and the residents and keeping them apprised of everything that's going on and keeping that connection going during the construction. We should go out to bid for the redesign of the community center sometime October-ish. That work would start probably towards the end of the year or the very beginning of next year. We also are going to be starting our streetscaping street enhancement program for Spring Street from Broad Avenue to Lafayette Street, where we'll be doing sidewalks, redoing sidewalks and making our streets more walkable. That would be followed up with paving. That would happen next year. And we're also, as part of the CDBG program, going to go out to bid for new playground at Nelson Park. That will require resolution. Bill Garrison will be able to speak a little bit about that next week. It's really just in order to have a resolution the following week so that we can issue the bid. But I think we all had spoken about that project. It was supposed to be done actually probably over a year ago, but there's always a little bit of lag with the CDBG programs. And that will be a new inclusive playground at Nelson Park with some additional seating. So we're looking forward to that too. And that pretty much wraps it up. And we are getting hard into budget season with our staff. Those meetings are starting up, and we'll be working on that through October when we meet with the board on the budget in November and present the budget. So
glad you got together with the seniors program. I'm looking forward to hearing more. We oftentimes have been talking about our youth, great, but there is a growing senior population as well, not just here in Westchester, and does not get captured, I don't think, in the census well enough and all of that. But there is a huge population that's aging in place. People sell their houses and move to Ossining because we have a lot of inventory of condos and smaller houses and things like that. So I'm glad that this is sort of an aging in place kind of program. So glad you guys got it started today and looking forward to hearing more about it.
Thank you. Administrative reports, Corporation Counsel, Stuart Kahan.
Thank you, Janet, and welcome tonight. Karen mentioned the contracts that are being worked on with regard to multimodal Spring Street and with regard to the Nelson Sitting Park. It would be wrong of me not to mention the immense help that I get from the folks both at DPW and at Rec. Sophia over at the Rec Department and Karen Doherty at DPW are gems, to put it mildly. They send me the contracts. I send them comment after comment, email after email, some in bold print, some in red print, some in unintelligible print. They manage to go through it, deal with the folks at the county, send me back another draft, and voila, we have ourselves a contract. They are, really very, very important to this process. I can tell you with regard to multimodal, we have received contract documents from so far 3 of the 4 prime contractors. And we're just finalizing insurance information and bond information. So that all looks good with regard to Spring Street. We have pretty much finalized the contract there. And Nelson Park, I sent a few more corrections today. We should hopefully have that contract finalized in the next day or so. That will then, as Karen said, be able to go out for bid. Tonight's agenda is a fairly busy agenda. We have a number of resolutions relating specifically to our Youth Bureau with regard to some contracts and requests for proposals from both the county and the city of White Plains. We have a tax certiorari resolution relating to property on Revolutionary Road. Two, what you would, for want of a better term, call housekeeping resolutions that relate to the bonding for the Indian Brook Water Treatment Plant. There will be a call for a public hearing on the cannabis moratorium and some fee schedule changes. And finally, a referral of the changes to the RDD zoning district to the village's Environmental Advisory Council, which is required pursuant to the village's water consistency review local law. So busy night with regard to that, and busy night for all of our boards and amendments.
Thank you, Stuart.
Can I just add one thing specific to tonight's agenda? We are Chima Monday from our Youth Bureau Director will be here tonight if anybody has any questions, but there are several grants this grant season for many of the Youth Bureau programs. One grant, we need a resolution that's due on the 10th, is actually a grant that does not require any match, but it is an extension of the youth employment program that if we get it, which it, knock wood, looks like they want to give us some money, would give us the ability to run that program year round. That's probably one of the programs that the youth are most excited about, the job opportunities. So that's on the agenda. We will probably table the resolution for the other grant that's due at the end of the month because I'd like Chima to come speak to the board about those grants more specifically. They're a continuation of the Invest in Kids grants that run on a 3-year cycle. But there's a lot going on there, and I think it would be good for the board to be briefed next week, and then we can, if the board wishes, have the resolution on for the following week.
Thank you. Administrator reports for Police Chief Aaron Zimmerman.
Hi, good evening, everybody. Well, like we mentioned last time, school started, so thanks to all the commuters who are listening or abiding by the rules and gave themselves a little extra time to get there in the morning. As I said last time, we all know there's nothing more frustrating than being stuck behind a school bus, but you know, it happens, and please be patient. Safety of the kids is paramount. Also, like another PSA announcement, I'm really happy to say that more people than not are abiding by the hands-free and don't text and drive. Most of you are getting it right, but I would encourage those of you who want to stop and then text, which is awesome. Please don't do it in the middle of the roadway, especially Route 9 or 133, and the parking lot or somewhere else to pull off. Stopping in the middle of the roadway, hitting your flashers, and taking care of your business isn't optimal either. So almost there, but much improved. Thank you. Crosswalks, please keep in mind, you do have to stop for pedestrians in crosswalks if they're waiting to cross the street. If there is no signal, there's a signal, the pedestrians have to abide by signal. So pedestrians, that's for you. Parking tickets. Thank you, Stuart, for the information this morning. Very thorough. Parking tickets this year are up 43% compared to last year. At this time last year, we had written 11,971 tickets. This year, at the same time, so far, we've written 17,152 for a total of 5,181 more, which is a 43% increase. So far this year, the tickets that we've written from January to August have already eclipsed the total number of tickets from January to December of last year at just shy of 17,000. So thank you to all the officers and our newly minted parking enforcement officers who, to their credit, have helped booster these numbers. So people who are calling and saying that people park anywhere and nothing happens, that's not true. So 17,152 people disagree. That's all I got.
Thank you.
Sure, it's 17,000 or like 10,000 who get multiple tickets or 5,000. But I think the point, and I'm glad you're making
I like
it,
my 6 better.
is that, well, first of all, it's not a goal. So the board does not give a goal for parking tickets, and an increase or decrease is not an objective of the elected officials. So I want to be clear about that. People hear numbers and go, oh, it's going up. They were told to do it. That's not actually how this works. People get tickets because the police go around and ticket people because they're blocking driveways or parked in front of hydrants or illegally, meters, etc. And we do get many complaints of those exact instances. And I think it's great that the police is ticketing people appropriately across the community. And people do call the police and say somebody's blocking me in or somebody's too close to the corner. The staff went through a whole exercise, I think a year ago. I don't know, Karen, when it was. They, every once in a while, revisit all the signage in the community throughout every single street, if memory serves, and put up more signs to make sure that people are aware of not parking too close to the corner or what side of the street. And we actually get a lot of requests for that, more than you would imagine. So I'm glad that you're reporting on it and that it works well. I would like you, Chief, to comment for the public record that ICE does come into this community. So I'd like you to just talk about the involvement and the rule that we follow here through the appropriate chain of command of anything that our police department is involved, how it is and is not involved with ICE. Because again, this week, I think ICE was here one morning. So for the public record, I mean, I can do it, but I prefer you and I have worked on this together, along with the whole board, about resolutions and about how things work when federal agents come in.
Sure. Homeland Security, also known and their branch of Immigration and Customs Enforcement, ICE, they do come to town from time to time, sometimes once a week, sometimes once every other week. But just like any other law enforcement agency that conducts business inside the village, it is a customary courtesy that they notify us when they're in town. That has been going on. We do get information. That information sometimes is more limited than other times, depending on who is coming into town and what their business is. A federal agency is under no obligation to provide us with much information. They do it as a courtesy, and the reason for that is mostly for safety, for that of the officers, that of the residents, and everyone involved. Here, we're a local law enforcement agency, and this has been discussed before, but just to reiterate, we have to follow local and state laws and guidelines. We do not operate under a federal umbrella. We cannot enforce federal laws or federal violations for that matter, which some of what they're doing falls under for them. They can do that. We cannot. We are not allowed to operate with them with some of the business they conduct by law or by statute. Depending on the nature of their business, sometimes we can assist them with their mission. That has not happened yet, but it's the same as any other law enforcement agency coming into town with a signed warrant by a judge. So whether it be a neighboring local police jurisdiction with a judicial warrant or a federal agency with a judicial warrant, doesn't really matter what the 3 letters of that federal agency are. They have a signed judicial warrant. We are, almost bound to assist them with what they're doing. And, but without that, we do not. And that's in our policy. It's in the resolution that the board passed not too long ago. And if anybody has any questions out there, if you're watching this, tuning in now, we're going to watch it later, please give us a call. I'd rather you call us and we can give you the information from the horse's mouth, so to speak, versus, either speculating on what we're doing and who's doing it or through third-party channels. If you have a concern or you have a question, please call us. Let us know. We're glad to help you out. And for the residents out there who may be a little skeptical of what's going on, give us a call. Okay. We're not, you know, we're here to help you and mean that. So if there's any issues or you need police services, please do not be afraid to call us because, you know, the fact of the matter is a lot of what is going on, you know, we can't get involved with. Sometimes we can, but so far we have not been asked to participate in any of their operations so far.
Thank you. And we did pass legislation 2018 and more recently to update it, specifically iterating, and we've said this before, but I still get lots of questions. Our police, as you heard, actually doesn't get involved. Judicial warrants are judicial warrants. They're same thing for any crime from any agency. And our police also works with neighboring communities, local municipalities, the county. The county has been doing undercover work, which I will not be describing publicly, but they have also done undercover work. And when they inform the police, in some cases, the police is there to help. But the county also has its own police force. And when asked, with the right warrants and the right information, police either chooses to participate or not, depending on the kind of warrant it is and what the situation is. And that's always been the case. So thank you. But I think the most important piece of this, and you and I have gone to meetings together, is you should call the police if you are unsure. Following social media to get information, not always the most accurate information. I'm saying that politely for the record. Just call the local police and get correct, accurate legal information directly from the chief and his staff. And that's what is being recommended that be done. I appreciate time. Okay.
Thank you. Organization announcements. Announcements shall be events related only, shall not be longer than 2 minutes. Anybody that would like to speak at this point?
Do we see anybody? I know we have a bunch of people.
Or do we have anybody in our virtual world that would like to speak at this point? Please raise the virtual hand.
Anything?
Nope.
Okay.
Public comment on agenda items. Visitors shall be accorded to 1 minute opportunity to address the board and any of the resolutions of the agenda. Same thing, if anybody wants to talk about, wishes to speak, please raise the virtual hand.
Got anything? Okay. No people.
Visitor recognition. Visitors should be accorded to 1 minute opportunity to address the board on issues not related to the agenda but relevant to common good of the village. Same thing, if anyone would like to speak at this point, please raise the virtual hand. Nope. Village board resolutions, approval of minutes, August 20, 2025, resolve that the Board of Trustees of the Village of Boston hereby approves the minutes of the August 20, 2025 regular meeting as presented. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any comments?
All in favor?
Aye.
Please note that the trustee Yost is now with virtually, please,
Okay,
for the attendance.
thank you. Thank you. Approval of voucher details, September 3rd, 2025. Resolved that the Board of Trustees of the Village of Ossining hereby approves the voucher detail report dated September 3, 2025 in the amount of $744,184.24. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any comments?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Approval of IBWTP voucher detail, September 3rd, 2025. Resolved that the Board of Trustees of the Village of Ossining hereby approves the IBWTP voucher detail report dated September 3, 2025 in the amount of $223.50. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any questions?
No.
All in favor?
Aye.
Abstain.
Pat, you're coming in loud and clear. There's just a tiny little bit of delay. Thank you.
Village of Austin and local youth bureau authorized agreement with Westchester County Summer 2025 Year Employment Program. Resolved the following review by the Corporation Council. The village manager is authorized to sign an agreement with Westchester County Department of Social Service whereby the village through the village local youth bureau will operate the summer youth employment program with TANF eligible temporary assistance for needy families, economically disadvantaged young under 21 years of age, and before the resolve that the village shall be paid a total amount not to exceed $66,474, and before the resolve that the term of the agreement is from May 1st, 2025 through September 30, 2025. Do I have a motion?
So moved?
Second.
I would like to comment. So for me, there's a bunch of Youth Bureau pieces on here. And I want to learn more about them because I don't believe that any of this were discussed in our work session, right? And I spoke to the village manager earlier today. So, and I know, Chima, you're here, Youth Bureau. There's a couple of issues. Number one, the board doesn't ever like getting resolutions on the evening that they have to actually sign. Now, these are not resolutions to approve things, they're to approve that the manager can, like, that they can go for the grants and sign up for them. When you look at them separately, like, who doesn't want our youth to have programs? Problem is, they're now embedded in so many grants. Each one of them isn't covered 100%. Yep. Every single grant that we approved in the past 2 years, and over budget, and we've had to use taxpayer dollars out of our money to subsidize these grants. Some of them are by nature subsidized. Require you to do 10%, 5%, 20%, they're all different. So this morning, I had a conversation with the village manager to be told, first of all, getting things late is always a problem. None of us even understand what's happening here. In fairness, though, it's only to say they can go and apply for the grants, right? So, but in the comments section of this evening, I have just a problem with being told things very late in the game. Secondly, we all want the Youth Bureau to succeed, but virtually every grant has had to be subsidized. Some of us who were here on the board voted for the Youth Bureau. That wasn't really the way it was presented, nor was it presented with a strategy of what the right number is. 100 youth, 200. No, I'd like to have 20,000 kids get jobs. Who wouldn't? But we are at a point, in my opinion, this is just mine, that all of these $10,000, you get a van, so now you need drivers, now you need gas, now you need to fix them in 2 years. Everything obligates us to more money. And the word grant is not carte blanche. When I started gig as a trustee, the word grant seemed to me like you get money from somewhere. That's fantastic. Who doesn't want money? The reason so many mayors don't go for grants is because every single grant requires tremendous amount of staff work, people to manage the grants, people to write them. You get them, have to manage them. Then it turns out that every like 100,000 requires $10,000 to $20,000 more. And, you know, it goes on. And I mean, this is a scenario that if I ran my home like this, it would not be good unless in my basement I had a machine that prints up money, which to my knowledge, no local government has that. So I'm in a dilemma, which I'm sharing with you, and I'm doing it at a legislative session because this was never discussed in a business session. I'm in a dilemma of wanting to help our youth because the Youth Bureau has been, I think, so much more successful than we expect it to be. That success has caused us to hire more staff, more staff that other departments have that now need to be used to help them create all sorts of stuff. And as we go into budget season, because we're right before the budget season, we have to be really careful of what we're approving and what we're not approving. I usually don't turn around to my colleagues. I usually speak to the public. This actually is an issue that I raised a few hours ago with the village manager, that some of my discomfort. And I also want to put a red flag on all grants. We cannot keep subsidizing the county's generosity with their grants and the Youth Bureau's generosity, because they're all really generous, but they're only startup costs. We then have to somehow find ourselves. And except for exception, every grant, for a multitude of all great reasons, don't end up where they should have, end up paying more. And only things that we do in this village is to help people. That's all we do sitting here. So when people say, how could you not give the youth? How could you not help seniors? How can you not help, homeless people? How can you not help small businesses? The answer is, but that's all we do all day, help everybody. But we also have people that have to subsidize that, and they pay taxes, and they sit there and say, I have a fiduciary responsibility to manage this. This is not to say we should not vote yes or no on this, because all we're doing is allowing them to get the grants. But I will tell you that the amount of work, grants, and then when people get grants, then we get a line of people saying, how could you not approve a $100,000 grant? Well, because it costs another 10,000 or 20,000 a year for 3 years in this case. So I want to be really cognizant that starting today until we approve the budgets, which is our fiduciary responsibility, we're going to have to really think about the grants, because all these $10,000 that don't mean very much on a 60-something million dollar budget actually mean a lot, because none of us would run our homes like that and just say, what's another $10,000? What's another 20? And let me remind all of us how much staff time. I also suggest that we look at that. And it isn't whether the budget can handle it, because we do budgets on a yearly basis. I'll speak for Pat, who's mentioned this before, Pat Yost. Nobody runs budgets on a yearly basis except government. They should always be done every 3 to 5 years, because these grants are actually, I think some of them are 3 years. We're committing future boards. We might sit here in the next 3 years, but we might not be. So it's a cautionary, but I don't want to repeat at every meeting. Just assume that I'm saying this at every meeting until we put the budgets to bed. And the staff who's listening and the people who are listening to this, Chima, your success has also a challenge for both your colleagues, the community center, and a balance of how we divvy up money and how we do grants. And so I want to be exceedingly careful. And I think that after years of saying yes to literally everything, there's going to have to be some no's. You just happen to be the first one. Because we're back in school, right? Labor Day, everybody's back. It's like none of us go to school, but we all feel like we're back in school. So I just wanted to make sort of a public statement. I have no fear about making it, but I do want us to be really cognizant of how much money $10,000 chunks add up to very, very quickly, hundreds of thousands of dollars. And we have lots of expenses and lots of projects. And I don't want a board sitting here in 3 years suffering from some of the decisions we made. And it would be helpful to know what success looks like. 3 years ago, I asked for what success looks like in the youth bureau. At 100 kids, is 200. Where youth bureaus work apparently is the more the merrier. More kids that are helped, the better it is. That's great. More seniors that are helped, the better it is. But there's only so much money to go around for everybody. And honestly, the biggest complaint I get today is the Con Ed increases to people, which affects every single person that lives in our community, every single business, every municipal building, and that's an expense people weren't expecting. So there's a whole other group of expenses that everybody's now involved in addition to everything I named. So with that, we're in a comment section about one thing. It would be easier if you guys looked at the fact that there is multiple ones here. I would have liked to see only one. I'd like to take one that's absolutely necessary, because one of them has a time frame of we have to do it tonight, I think, and go through it. So Karen, if you can enlighten us into the conversation we had earlier
Yeah.
to see what's the best path forward for the board.
So, no problem. So the cycle of the Youth Bureau grants, it's a little bit different than our other grants. So we may go for capital grants because we're doing a project. Typically what we do, so that we're not just getting a grant for grant's sake and then spending more money, we're getting a grant for a project that we're already committed to, or that we've already has been planned. It's discussed. And then when we get that grant, it offsets what we were going to spend. So that's a win, because that's less money that we had to spend in total if you're looking at most of our capital projects. What we really try to stay away from is grants that just bring us money, but it really wasn't necessarily something we were going to do, or it just, opens the door to things that we're not thinking of doing or not part of the strategic goals of the board. The grants, I think it's important to note that the grants are all drawdown grants, which means you must spend the money to receive the money. And that means you need to have a steady cash flow because you don't get a check before you spend it. You have to actually spend the money. So if you get a grant for $100,000, that's great, but you have to be able to pay out $100,000 before you get that money back and document it. And it is a lot of work. There's rightly so, this is taxpayer money so there's a lot of work involved in making sure you're using those grants appropriately. There is a lot of times for youth bureau programs, which run on cycles, more similar to a nonprofit. So this is a little bit different, the way the youth bureau runs versus the way we run the village, generally speaking. A lot of times there'll be extra money in a budget, or the county will come and say, we have this money, you need to apply. Sometimes it's, a fairly good chance that you'll get it. In this case, this grant, and again, this is to apply for the grant. There's, when we can, so just getting the application out the door, this grant is due, and this is again, and I thought that, and maybe it was with the Youth Advisory Board, that maybe we need to close that loop a little bit. We're talking to a lot of people about the same things, but we did talk about it with the Youth Advisory Board. This gives us the ability to, if we get this grant, to run the youth employment program, which is the program where we hire all these young people to intern, and they get paid. So while the village gets the administrative monies, this is what we're applying for, there's also a whole bunch of monies that really, over $100,000 that can be paid out to the youth that are working. So that goes to them directly. They get a salary, but it's not from us or other employers. It's literally through this grant. So it allows businesses and certainly the municipality to hire interns that get paid, but we don't have to pay them. So it's probably one of the strongest programs and one of the ones that the youth themselves are most supportive of, because this is what they've really talked about. When it comes to the other grants, if you remember, when we started the Youth Bureau 3 years ago, the money we got from the county was through a program called Invest in Kids, which has been ongoing for decades. It's a 3-year cycle. The grants range, and they did lower the match. So I think it's only a 10% match for the grants going this year. We'll talk more about that, but I think that the mayor's right. This is a little bit different, and it's important to know what we're doing, what those grants are, what the strategy is behind it, how they're being used to at the middle school level, at the high school level, to really get kids engaged when they're younger and carry them through the Youth Bureau program, through graduation and getting a job. But those are things we'll talk about in more detail the next week. And Chima will be there to present. One of the things that, there's, when you get program grants, they come with expenses because you're running a program. So you may be getting more money, but you also have to spend more money. So that's something that we're looking at very closely internally to make sure that we're doing that in a way that is actually building capacity in the way that's needed specific to Ossining. And I think it's important too that a lot of there is potential. And what we're looking to do is to make these as budget neutral as possible in the terms of being able to use rec staff for things that there are certain sports programs and objectives that we can get funding for through the Youth Bureau that we're offering in the rec program that can be offset. So we can, we'll explain more how we would do that, but it really galvanizes the ability to offer more programming, particularly more free programming to children who would qualify, so that we can be able to make sure that, all kids are exposed to swimming lessons, for example, which is an important consideration because we live on a river and a lot of kids don't know how to swim. Things like that. So we'll talk about it more. The goal here is to continue doing what we're doing for the community, for our youth, but to make sure in doing that we don't stretch ourselves too thin, and that we're able to use those grants very strategically and appropriately for the population we have here.
Okay, thank you. We're in the middle of a vote. So it's on the first one. There's actually not 3, but 4. Youth Bureau related, I think, resolutions on here.
Thank
So
you.
we're in the middle of the first one.
Okay. Is there any other comments?
Yes. Can you, thank you for that, update. Can you, respond to, because I feel like I heard, two different things where the mayor's concern was that these were going to be, budget negative because we get the money in, but then kind of like, other situations we've been in, we end up spending more. And so it seems like a benefit now, but then it's a net cost. I heard you say that, the eye has really been toward trying to find budget neutral things, recognizing that with grants, there's an aspect of administrative costs, but that's generally should be de minimis. It's not, it's not like 30% of the thing, it's something manageable. Can you speak to these specific?
Sure. I think the biggest challenge, and to the mayor's point, it's not so much that they're budget neutral. One of the challenges, the grants do sometimes prolong the project in a sense. So now, if you take certain projects that whether it's the road diet, whether it's the community center upgrades or the multimodal site, any of the DRI, those are all projects that the village had spoken about for a long time. But ultimately, it's $10 million feeding into, we know we have to bond a lot more for that. Those projects, we probably wouldn't do if we didn't get grant money. However, we start planning when we get the money or when we're awarded the grant, and the contracts can take a long time. So to the mayor's point, when you have a 2 or 3 year lag, and then you have things happen in the economy, so now cost of materials goes up, cost of labor goes up, that's the challenging part. And even though when those budgets are done, for example, for the DRI in 2021 or 2022, we did the budgets. When you actually go out to bid, as we know, it can come out a lot higher. So that is a bit of a risk. But what we're trying to do with the grants is make sure that we're doing a calculated risk. And that's why I think it's really important that we do the work sessions so the board understands. If it's a project that we're planning to do, then and there's public support to do it or a real need for the water treatment plant would be another example. That's something that we really had no other choice to do, expand the facility. But when you're planning something for 5, 10 years, which is really what it took to design the plant, the cost sort of creeps up despite best efforts of estimators to anticipate and put escalators in there. So yes, to the mayor's point, there is that side of it too. I guess my point is, we wouldn't necessarily say, it may be really good to have a roller skating rink in the middle of Ossing. Maybe everybody loves it. We might not go for that grant, given, if we get $5 million to do the roller skating rink, it costs 10. By the time we do it, it's 15. And then also now we hadn't considered the staffing for the plant, the roller rink, the upkeep for the roller rink and everything else. So I think to the mayor's point, you really have to look at this in the short term of how it's offsetting your needs today. And then long term, making sure that you have a way to pay for those things based on the additional cost it may have for staff or maintenance costs.
Yeah. But for these particular items, these don't seem like physical products in that way, or kind of projects that are they're programs like you're paying for the kind of thing that you talked about. Is there any difference there?
There can be when it comes to staffing. So I think the biggest challenge for those grants is that we are still subject to a civil service model. So if we did, just for example, the more programs, the more staff you need. Those programs, and I will say these programs are sort of, there's no such thing as a guaranteed grant, but these are, grants that youth bureaus get every 3 years, somewhat like clockwork. We know, though, that there are many things out there that have been granted that have gone on for many decades that lost a lot of money this year. So there's always a risk. And I think that you really have to build up a track record with understanding, what your deliverables are on those grants in terms of what is a success, because once you get to the point that you're hiring staff permanently, the grant money goes away, but those are civil service protected jobs and we would still have to carry them. So that makes it a little bit more challenging. We are meeting with the head of the Westchester County Youth Bureau. Chima and I are meeting with him in a few weeks to better understand, because I think there is some, again, we have to have realistic expectations for our community. The youth bureaus, we were the first youth bureau that was established in 30 years. So, and most bureaus, but the large youth bureaus are in cities that have bigger budgets and also bigger population and bigger needs. So if you have 30 years to build your staff, or you had a budget to start with that was a lot bigger 30 years ago, by now you might have a lot of youth bureau, considerably more youth bureau staff embedded in that organization. We're relatively new. And I think that's something where we have to make sure that as we grow, we are cognizant of reporting back to taxpayers, reporting to the board, to make sure that it's not just getting money for money's sake, but that we are serving a mission, we're meeting a need, and that we're doing it commensurate with the size of the population and the budget of the village.
Thank you. My last piece, this could be very brief, but I would just love to hear from you, Mr. Monday, if you would mind coming up, if you just comment on this, it'd be helpful to hear your commentary about this item as well. You can come right up
Right
to
here.
the mic there.
Good evening. Thank you. So regarding the grant,
Just the name and your role.
okay.
It's videotape.
My name is
We know who
Chima.
you are, but for the
Um,
videotape.
My name is Chima Monday, and I'm the director of the Arson and Youth Bureau. So the plan is regarding the youth employment grant that we're trying to go for. What that is, it's the same program that we ran this summer, TANF program that we were able to place about 27 kids out of that program from needy families and give them jobs for 6 weeks. So what happened was the county, the state is trying to invest more in workforce for young people. And so the state has added more money for employment for young people across the state. This grant, what it would do is a continuation of what we did in the summertime and be able to allow us to place 25 kids. From September 2020, September 1st, 2020, this year, retroactively to June 2026. The way we are trying to, and I understand, I share your concern about the budget. We have to make sure that we treat the budget judiciously to minimize any taxpayers' money. But to that point, with this program, what we're trying to do when we design it is to be able to embed salaries for the staff and all the other expenses that will come out of it. So that when we apply for the grant, all of those costs will be able to cover the program. We're still working on the budget, and we don't have a final number, but right now, based on what we estimated, we are looking to go for at least $216,000. Out of that, it will pay for salaries of the young people. It will pay for any other staffing that will be required for 1 year.
Thank you.
Pat, anything?
Yeah, so to Chima, real quick, so if you could clarify that for me. So the estimated program cost is 216,000 for September through June of
2026.
next summer, essentially. So kind of halfway through the summer, right? So what would the plan be to would the plan be that those 25 roles get stopped on June 26, 2026? Or what would the plan be to carry through the second half of the summer?
Well, to the point that Karen mentioned earlier, when we get grants, there's a specified frame amount of time that we have to execute. So I think the idea here is that these funds will pay for those young people from now to June. And then usually what happens is in the summertime, we get some monies to do employment. This is different from that.
And they're separate grants.
Yes, this is a new separate grant. So usually by the summertime, the state will, give us some money to be able to provide summer employment for young people, just like we did this year. And that's been happening for several years. But
Yep.
this particular, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, that's it. I'm just acknowledging that I'm hearing you. That's all.
Yes, so but this particular instance, this is like one of those things that the state decided and added in the budget that young people need more workforce exposure, and they added that in the budget. And when we went to Albany, this was a conversation that came up, and one of the things that we advocated for. When I mean we, I mean the young people across the state, and the legislator listened to that, and so this is part of that effort in Albany. But to your point, in June, it will be ended, and then we'll be looking forward to getting all the other summer employment grants that comes along.
Okay. All right. So appreciate it. A follow-on question for that. So you said a portion of the $216,000 for the grant would include embedded administrative costs. What percentage of those costs are quote embedded administrative?
So we are still
Roughly.
trying to work. We don't have a final numbers on those because we have to work with the finance department to be able to give us what the actual
It's
numbers
about 20%.
be. But it's about 20%.
So, but Chima, I just want to clarify because the grant that we're going for is 60 odd $1,000 for this grant. That's what's in, no, I'm sorry. Oh, that's the, oh, okay, I'm sorry. I got confused
That
with
was
the
the
other contract.
final.
That was my mistake. So yes, of the total amount, it's 20% for this grant. Approximately 20%.
Got it. So plus the 10% match. So
No, this grant does not require a match.
The other ones do. There's 4 things here in front of us.
okay, sorry. Yeah, I'm getting them mixed up a little bit. Okay.
It's a little confusing. Apologies. The match is for, this is a specific.
Okay, no, yep, I
Okay.
got the youth employment.
Okay.
program wrap. So, okay, so where I was going, my question still stands, right? So if 40 some $1,000 of this grant money is going towards embedded expenses for staff internally, then, but it only carries it through half of the year. So I would expect that like the costs for the back end of that would be at least like noted in the budget, like for next year kind of thing, right? So it's kind of going to like following up on the mayor's comment around like the embedded costs and what happens after the grants run out, right? So, so I'm just trying to understand how that flows past June 30th if, $45,000 of it is actual like internal expenses, and then the 80% of it, which is actually a pretty good kind of percentage of it, goes towards like paying for the employment, right?
We wouldn't,
which
for
would
this
stop.
grant, we wouldn't continue it if we didn't have the grant funding. It's the funding pays, like if it only goes half a year, like that's why it goes. It's extending. So when I said, I maybe misspoke, likelihood we think we're going to get, they come out with more money. That's what they've told everybody. But if they don't, then the program, it runs through the summer and then through half the year. So, it's not necessarily a guarantee that we get the money going forward. The goal is to have this as an ongoing program year round. But without the grant, then that program will not exist.
Okay, got it. Last question on this one. Sorry, keep questioning. So was there a similar grant to this for the 24-25 year?
You mean,
That was the summer youth employment. It was only
It's a different
specific to the summer.
program.
Okay, so the youth employment grant for 24-25 was just the summer program grant.
yes,
Okay,
So the answer is no. The
Got
answer
it.
is, I think what Chima said, is they went up to state, they did a
Yep.
state, you know.
yeah, they took the buses up and
Right.
did the,
And they went and not only they, but a bunch of youth bureaus went to get our state legislators to give more money to this. But the
Mhm.
conversation always goes back to the same thing. You get 100,000, it's not really 100,000, it's 100,000. You put the money up front, there are other costs.
yep.
And this idea, like, so all the questions you asked are totally appropriate. And we're having this conversation at a legislative session because this really should be done at a work session. So you'll come back and we'll go through the different grants and not stick them all into one thing. And nobody questions that every grant's fabulous. More the merrier. We just can't do everything for everyone all the time. And that's part of like what our role is. And it's part of the administrative role of the staff is to actually manage this stuff. We just oversee it and not be endless about it. Pat, anything else?
No, thank you. Not on this. thank
Okay,
you.
that's it. Thank you. Appreciate your time. And is this coming up on the next work session? Is that what you said? Okay.
Yeah, I mean, again,
No, I got
we,
it. That's
we
okay.
were planning to do that, again, but the timing on this allows us to have the work session first.
Right.
We would have
So
had it
Out
regardless.
of all of them, the one we're voting now for you, the village manager to sign is the one that's time is of the essence. Is that right? Right, that's due next week.
The only thing I just want to point out is that with regard to two of those resolutions, the work's already been done. In other words, these are resolutions for contracts that have basically have ended. And they're just now, because the way the county and the city of White Plains work, we haven't gotten that stuff done.
No, I think we're mixing stuff here.
Yes, so do I.
We have the resolutions to go for the new RFP.
There are two of those.
Right. Those are, the resolutions for the new RFP are tabled. The resolutions for the grants that we've already done can go forward. Okay,
There's two RFP resolutions. One is the September 26th one. You're tabling that. There's
correct,
one for September 10th. You're voting on that tonight.
correct.
The resolutions for the summer youth employment that ends September 30, you're voting on tonight. And the
Right.
resolution for the Grand Paws United, which ends on September 30, which actually ends on September 30, 2025, that's also being voted on tonight.
Yeah, but those aren't, that's for work that's already been done because of the way the
That's what I'm
county
saying.
done. Those
So
are grants that are already done. It's very hard to work with the county on this.
Resolution F will be
Yes,
withheld.
Okay. I found it very confusing also, which is why I stopped in the comments section so everybody understands what we're voting on, what we're not. Get a work session. Bunch of people, we canceled some meetings, people were on vacation. Like I always say, Labor Day, we're all back full-time work, even those of us that are not in school. So I think we're good. I think you guys have it laid out. Shima, you'll be coming back, answering questions. You understand our concern. I think we're all synchronized. Now we're able to vote. So what you read, actually, we are.
Resolution D.
Yeah.
Are we all in favor?
Yes, I'm in favor.
Aye.
Aye.
Right.
Yep. Village of Austining, local youth bureau, authorization to submit a proposal for the 2025-2026 youth employment program. Whereas the Westchester County Department of Social Service Office of Workforce Development, on behalf of the Westchester Department of Workforce Development Board, issues a RFP, request for proposal for public and private nonprofit organizations for the provision of a 2025-2026 youth employment program for eligible temporary assistance to needy families, TANF. And whereas the village local youth bureau wants to submit on behalf of the village a proposal providing the youth employment program detailed in the RFP, and whereas the response to the RFP is due not later than September 10, 2025, now therefore be resolved the following review by the Corporation Council, the village through the local youth bureau is authorized to submit a proposal to the Westchester County Department of Social Service, Office of Workforce Development, and be further resolved that the village managers and the executive director of the local youth bureau are authorized to sign and complete the proposal as necessary. Do I have a motion?
So move.
Second.
Any comments? Think we're good?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So, thank you, Pat. Which one are we not?
So
Thank you.
So Village of Austin and local youth bureau investing in kids young program 2026-2028. Sure.
Is there a motion to table that, please?
So move that motion.
Second.
All in favor to table?
Aye.
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 Thank you. Village of Austin and local youth bureau agreement with City of White Plains resolved that the following review by Corporation Council and the village managers are authorized to sign an agreement with the City of White Plains through the Village White Plains Youth Bureau to oversee a Grandpa's United program, and be further resolved that the term of this agreement is April 1st, 2024 to September 30, 2025, and be further resolved that the Village of Austin and local youth bureau will receive $20,000 in funding for this program. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
I'm sorry, who moved it? Thank you. Section A, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Section A, office authorized renewal of agreement of MRI software. Resolved that the following review by Corporation Council, the village manager is authorized to sign the documents to renew the agreement with MRA software 28925 Fountain Parkway, Solon, Ohio, for a 3 year term at $18,666.55 for the year 1, 2025, with 5.5 increase in the year 2 and 3. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Just on the comments, is there a reason why this wasn't brought up at a work session with an
It was
explanation?
recently just brought to our attention by Marilyn. This is the software that they have had for many years. Currently, the village is paying $17,777.97. There were two proposals from the company. One was what is presented here, a 3-year term. First year, $1866.55 for the first year, 5.5% increases for years 2 and 3, each of those years, or a 1-year term at $20,622.25 with 16% increase in subsequent years. So the thought was to go with the 3-year deal.
Okay, just so we get back on track. This is a continued request that information be discussed at work sessions. If staff department heads don't get information on time to their bosses, that doesn't make it our emergency. I have no idea who this vendor is, what criteria is used. Like, I got zero, except that somebody read a contract, seems nice. This is a legislative session where we're supposed to vote based on data that we have, knowledge that we have. Department manager coming and saying, this is what I need, this is why we need it. We're going to vote on this, but it is like, we've all been doing this a long time, and this board's been around a long time. There's just like certain protocols, and with all due respect, that should be followed, and not fair to us to sit here. What are the options? That we say no? And what are the options being
So,
given? Even
Mayor,
the
with-
best vendor on the planet.
I posed the question again. Chima's here and gave us an explanation. Marilyn's not here. I understand it's a short thing, but she could have made the effort to be here or been notified to be here to at least talk to us about this.
So can I just interject? There are certain things that are almost administrative, and I apologize. They get, sort of, we're doing a lot of stuff. We have, right now, our work sessions are running approximately 3 hours, and we didn't have the last work session. There are times, and I take full responsibility for making sure that the board is aware of anything. But these are reoccurring things that are vetted with Dale and me. There is absolutely a vetting process. Everything's bid, it's triple bid. These are ongoing costs that are operational. So I am happy to be able to do this, try to be as detailed as possible. But there are times, particularly when we lose a work session and somebody's like, oh, I forgot that contract needs to be renewed, we can, table it, but ultimately this is really an administrative detail. So I apologize for that. We do try to make sure that on issues that are new, that are, we're bringing something new, it's not in the budget. So again, loud and clear, we heard it. I'm not, we'll do our best to do that, but there are administrative things that come up and sometimes we maybe get a little ahead of ourselves but again, those are things that are already budgeted for, that have been vetted, that have, we have all of the paperwork, the backup, the bids, and they are embedded in the current budget.
That's not the way it works. We have all the budget responsibilities. There's no such thing as it's all been vetted. That's all great. The reason there's a board of trustees in municipalities is to review budgets from $1 to $1 million to 10 million, et cetera, et cetera. Nobody's questioning that this could be the best vendor on the planet. That's not how government works. There's a checks and balance system. The board is responsible for the budgets. There's a very clear line of how this works. I want us to get back on track. I have no question that the vendor is fantastic. I simply question the fact that we have absolutely no clue they are or not. And a department head, Richie is correct, could also write a note. Doesn't matter whether everybody on staff thinks something is great. There are protocols and there's a reason why there's board of trustees. Regarding the other stuff, this board actually, even with its vacations that we took, meets more than almost every other municipal in work sessions, including our very town that during summer doesn't even have work sessions. So we actually also sit here for 3 hours when we have things, and we're a very busy municipality. But I do take exception that we've gotten a little loosey-goosey. I want us to get back on board with the protocols in place. Department heads have to submit things on time. These are 1, 2, 3-year contracts, which means everybody knows when they're due. It shouldn't be a surprise that the contract is up, like long-term contracts. And if the recommendation is we love the vendor, so the board member should vote, I'm all for it. But we really shouldn't be voting on things when we have no knowledge. And I just need us to get back into the appropriate protocols, the appropriate mode. And if there isn't time, make time, and we manage the agendas. We actually meet honestly more than almost all the boards short of cities, which are entirely different setups. So, and I appreciate the board actually meeting as often as we do. So let's move on. We're in the middle of a vote. And I'm not, unless somebody.
All in favor?
Oh, hold on. Unless somebody
I'm
wants
fine, I'm fine.
table, we're gonna go along, but I just need us back in the right protocols with respect to the Board of Trustees. So,
Thank you, Mayor. All in favor?
All right.
aye.
Aye.
Pat,
Yeah.
good?
Aye.
Thank you.
DPW authorizing the implementation and funding in the first instance 100% of the federal aid eligible cost of transportation federal aid project and appropriating funds. Therefore, whereas the project of the Western Road paving and sidewalk implement the Village of Austin, Westchester County, paying 8763.02. The project is eligible for funding under the Title 23 U.S. Code as amended. That calls for an apportionment of the cost. Such program be more at the ratio of 80% federal funds and 20% non-federal funds. And whereas by resolution adopted on July 19, 2023, the Village of Austin Board of Trustees approved and agreed to advance the project by making a commitment of 100% of the non-federal share of the cost of preliminary engineering and right-of-way incident work. And whereas it was subsequently found necessary in undertaking additional preliminary engineering work not contemplated in the regional agreement authorized by the previous resolution. And whereas it has been found necessary to increase the federal and non-fund share of costs in additional preliminary engineering work for the project, and whereas the Village of Austin desires to advance the project by making a commitment of 100% of the non-federal share of the cost of preliminary Re-engineering, and now therefore be resolved that the Village Board of Trustees hereby approves the above subject project, and it is further resolved that the Village Board of Trustees hereby authorizes the Village of Ossining to pay in the first instance 100% of the federal and non-federal share of the cost and preliminary engineering work of the project and portions thereof. And it's further resolved that the sum of $193,375 out of 214 and 375 minus the previous 21,000 is hereby appropriated for the construction and design phase of make available to cover the cost and participation in the above phase of the project, and is further resolved that the resolution shall take effect immediately. Do I have a motion?
Anybody?
I have questions, but I don't have a motion.
Yeah, I mean, I think the issue is like, can we get before we go into the comment, can we get like a 30-second
Yeah.
wrap up of what this is? Oh,
I can
man.
speak to this. Hello.
Thank you. Much
Um,
appreciated.
Good evening, Board of
Good
Trustees.
evening.
So the board might recall, I think it was about 3 years ago, that we got an email from the DOT that said, did you still want to use this money that you got in like 1997 before all of us were here? And we said, well, we don't really want to do that project anymore because it doesn't exist. But what we would like to do is Westerly Road. So you all might remember we've been working on this for quite some time. Unfortunately, because of the requirements and because it's federal money that came down to the DOT, a survey was required. So we did that work. And now the next phase of it is going to be to actually design the work, which our match is going to be to actually pave it once it's done. But this is going to be to widen the sidewalks in the Westerly Road corridor, just that very narrow area there where, you know, some of the poles are impeding. I know that Paul is working on trying to find a creative way to move the poles out of the way of the sidewalk, but at the very least, we're going to be able to widen the sidewalk a bit, hopefully so they won't be as obstructive. But so this is just basically telling the DOT, who can tell the federal government, the village is ready to move forward on this project. So if we didn't take this step at this time, they would say, you're foregoing the money. We're not able to move.
Thank you.
Sure.
That was succinct. I actually understand what we're doing here. That answer all your questions or some of your
Well,
questions?
I do get a lot of questions about what's happening with Westerly Road project, so now we know.
Good. That's helpful. Anybody else? Bob, any questions?
I have no question.
Okay, now we're ready to vote.
Okay, do I have a motion?
Move.
Second.
Go ahead.
All in favor?
Aye.
Finance Department repealing a certain bond resolutions adopted by the Village of Austin in Westchester County, New York, whereas the Board of Trustees of the Village of Austin in Westchester County, New York, the village has heretofore duly adopted a bond resolution of said village for a certain purpose and herein after described, and whereas it has now been determined that said financial authorization will not be required for said capital project and is now desired to repeal said serial bond and authorization to the extent not heretofore utilized now therefore be resolved by the affirmative vote in not less than a majority of the total voting strength of the Board of Trustee of the Village of Austin in Westchester County, New York. The serial bond authorization of the bond resolution herein after specified is hereby repealing in the amount specified below. Provide, however, such repeal shall only be effective to the extent any such authorization to be repealed has not heretofore being utilized to the insurance and obligation of the village. Therefore, do I have a motion?
So moved.
Okay, are we not getting a second because nobody understands this or in one?
No, I'm just curious.
Okay,
This has to do with the water plant, right? Why are we repealing two bonds?
I think it would be best if the treasurer explained, this is essentially a housekeeping detail,
Okay.
but perhaps Dale is here and she can be best to help.
Okay.
Thank you.
hello
Stuart.
Dale.
Good evening, Village Board. How are you?
Great.
For this resolution and the one that follows, we were contacted actually by bond counsel, who was reviewing the finer details of all of our bond resolutions as we're now actually going to market, actually tomorrow, for our band renewal. And upon review of all of our bond resolutions, especially when it came to the water treatment plant, if you remember, we had done multiple bond resolutions as we were moving through the project, mostly in part to satisfy grant requirements that we were entering into and putting forward applications for, of which this first one, which was the 15 million, and then the one that follows, the 24 million, we had put in previous in 2023, which were then actually subsequently replaced with the final bond resolution that the board passed August 7th of 2024. So that final bond resolution actually included the pieces from these two prior bond resolutions. So within that, we have to now repeal these two previous ones, and the final one stands. So it really is just a housekeeping. It doesn't change the project budget or authorization to go borrow for the project or to continue on the project. It just cleans up the finer details on the bonding side.
Thank you. The mayor stepped away for a moment, so he's gonna let you know. Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you. Yeah. mhm.
Second,
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you. Finance Department resolution repealing a certain bond resolution adopted by the Village of Austin in Westchester County, New York, whereas the Board of Trustees of the Village of Austin in Westchester County, New York, the village is heretofore duly adopted one resolution of said village for a certain purpose and hereinafter described, and whereas it has now been determined that said financial authorization will not be required for said capital project, and is now desired to repeal said serial bond authorization to send not heretofore utilized now therefore be resolved by affirmative vote not less than the majority of the total bonus strength of the Board of Trustees of the Village of Austin, Westchester County, New York, the serial bond authorization of the bond resolution hereinafter specified and hereby repealing the amount specified below, provide however such repeal shall only be effective to the extent any such authorization to be repealed has not heretofore been utilized for the issuance of an obligation of the village. Therefore, do I have a motion?
So move.
Second?
All in
ahead.
favor? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Calling for a public hearing.
Done. Dale, could you just share, there's a bunch of people also virtually. I don't think we made a big deal about the bond rating, but you and the entire staff worked so hard to make sure that we do responsible financial management. Could you just share 30 seconds of the bond rating we just got and what that means? And congratulations in advance. I just don't think that we were able to give it the big yahoo that it deserves.
Oh, thank you, Mayor. We participated in what they call a Moody's interview, and Moody's is the credit rating agency for local governments as well as other entities, but for us and our purposes for our ban renewal that we're going out for, which actually goes to market tomorrow. But we wanted to have the credit assurance backing the village when we went to market. So during our interview process, we go through, of course, our financials, but also the direction the village is going in, what we've been spending our money on, and all sorts of good stuff, and our projected path, which they were very happy with and supportive of, and assigned, continued our AA2 financial rating along with a MIG1 rating for our bands, which is the highest level rating you can obtain for going to market. So hopefully we will be saving at least 20 basis points in interest fingers crossed. I will let the board know tomorrow when the market results come in, usually about 11:30. But thank you to a truly great team, starting from the board to the village manager to actually absolutely all the departments that really work hard to stay within their prescribed budgets and to come up with ingenious ways to make sure our money goes further.
Yes, congratulations. It's a big deal. I know when the county got a good rating, literally made sure it was on like national news. It's like an unsung hero, but bonds is how municipalities borrow. And, every basis point is actually a big deal. So thank you for all that hard work. I know we were sort of, August was like a lot of people were out and stuff. So I just want to make sure people are aware that this is a big deal from a municipal government point of view. So thank all your team. Do you want to move to O because Dale is still here, or do you want to just stay on the agenda, Karen? I mean, there's another finance piece and we need her for that? Okay. Thank you, Dale.
Thank you.
Thank you. Call for a public hearing, proposed local law 2025, amending chapter 270 zoning article 20 moratorium for submission of and processing of land use approval, cannabis dispensary, vape shop, smoke shop, vape lounge, and vape consumption business. Resolved that the Board of Trustees of the Village of Austin hereby calls for a public hearing to take place at 7:30 p.m. on September 17, 2025, at the Bricks of Agan Police Court Facility, 8688 Spring Street, Austin, New York, and via Zoom to consider proposed changes local law 2025 amending Chapter 270 zoning Article 20 moratorium for submission and processing and land use approval for cannabis dispensary, vape shop, smoke shop, vape lounges, and vape consumption businesses, and be resolved the members of the public are invited to attend the public hearing in person at the above referenced location, and before the resolve that for those members of the public who want to attend and participate in the public hearing remotely, access will be available via Zoom platform. Do I have a motion?
Second.
Just a comment, so we're clear about what we're voting. The board has called for a moratorium regarding place, time, et cetera, for dispensaries. And this is not a vote on it. The process of moratoriums, we started that process. Today's a vote on calling a public meeting, and you've got the dates. I just want to be clear what we are actually voting on today. Public hearing, and the board votes after getting the public involved and people that show up via email and this, and it's online. Have comments, there are emails to use. Comment with your opinions about it. We look at those and we discuss, et cetera, et cetera. That is what we're voting on. Well, that's what we're being asked to vote on right now.
I have a question. Why we're conflating cannabis dispensaries with smoke and vape shops? I mean, they're different businesses. Cannabis dispensaries are state sanctioned. They have a certain different set of rules than smoke shops and vapes. Why are we conflating it? Why are we putting it all together? We
This
were
is-
just talking about dispensaries.
No, this board had also discussed
No.
and wanted all that, so that's why it's in there.
Okay, well, I think I must have been sleeping. So anyway, okay. Fine.
Yeah.
So the conversation was, as we talked about dispensaries, actually you made the comment
Yeah.
that,
Me?
yes, you made the comment that a lot of the illegal cannabis that is
Right.
existing in the community is coming from the shops, and a lot of the negative behaviors are not coming from the dispensaries, which don't exist yet at the village, but from these vape shops. And so if we're going to look at a moratorium to try to get a hold of what's going on and how we can best manage it, we should not limit it to these dispensaries, which don't yet exist, but also be inclusive of these vape shops, which we know have been problematic. And so we said, yeah, Dana, that's a good idea. Let's do that.
That was my idea?
That was your idea.
Oh.
And we talked about other
Super
communities,
idea.
even though
Okay.
this community doesn't have the dispensaries yet. They're in the pipeline, which is different than actually having them here. That's why.
Okay. Sorry.
All right, thank you
So
for the
this
comment.
again, just voting on a public hearing on
Right.
this. Okay,
All right, thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
aye.
Thank you. Board of
Pat's
Trust-
raising his hand. Okay.
Board of Trustees authorize loan agreement with Sing Sing Prison Museum, whereas,
Oh, this?
Okay,
thank you. Whereas the Sing Sing Prison Museum by its executive director expressed the museum interest in obtaining objects maintained by the village for display and is used to plan visitor center to be located in the historical Olive Opera House. And whereas the objects requested by the museum are the electrical chair reproduction and drawing, a case displaying prisoner weapons and other objects, and 10 exhibit text panels. And whereas the Board of Trustees discussed the museum proposal for the executive director in August 13 work session, now therefore we resolve that following review by the Corporation Council, the village manager is authorized to sign a loan agreement with the museum of above reference object. The agreement to be for a 5-year terms with a 5-year renewal. To have a motion.
So moved.
Second.
the only comment was, Stuart, I thought we moved this to board and not manager.
No,
So
Mayor,
that
what you
future
wanted,
board-
what you wanted was a change in the agreement with regard
Thank you,
to, and that was changed.
thank you. Sorry about that. Okay.
Thank you. All in
Okay.
favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We've discussed, if we're all interested, we're not going to take time to discuss this whole thing now. It's a legislative session. We have discussed it in a work session. The executive director was there with et cetera. And can you please, I didn't see you write it down, but that we have a trustee who recused herself.
Yeah.
That's got to be, okay. You were so quick, I missed it. So that needs to be documented.
Changes to 2025 fee schedule. Resolve that the Village of Austining 2025 fee schedule for stepping, standing, parking, and other miscellaneous violations is revised as follow effective September 4, 2025. Village Code Section 2050-23.15 parking spaces handicap, delete $93 mandatory surcharge. Village Code Section 250-2316 office street parking spaces handicap, delete $93 mandatory surcharge. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Go ahead.
All in favor?
Aye.
Finance Department authorizing tax security payment for the first 10th vital. I'm sorry. Sorry.
Stat, Biddle,
Biddle,
Properties.
Properties INC. Whereas statutory proceeding were instituted against the Assessor of Town of Austining and Board of Review of the Town of Austining and Town of Austining by Reserve Biddle Properties INC against petitioner's property situated at 22 Rockledge Avenue in the Village of Austining. And whereas on August 19, 2025, a consent judgment was entered in favor of the petitioner Ursan Biddle Properties INC against the Village of Austining, correcting, fixing, and reducing the assessment valuation of the overseas real property and the improvements situated thereon, and set forth in Schedule 8 Annex here to, and whereas the consent judgment with the notice of entry was served upon the treasurer of the Village of Austining by petition on or about August 21st, 2025, and now there be resolved that the Board of Trustees of the Village of Austining upon certification by the village treasurer that all the offers state tax have been paid, hereby authorizes and direct the village treasurer to make the payment in such refund of real property taxes due to Urson Brill INC and Griffin, Kogan, Salter, and Horgan, thank you, sir, PC, and benefit of Urson Brill INC as required as said consent judgment. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you. Board of Trustee referral of Environmental Advisory Council, RDD zoning district amendment, whereas the Board of Trustees considering amended to Chapter 270 zoning specifically regarding to Riverfront Development District, RDD zoning district, and whereas pursuant to Section 26-3 of the Village Code, all private application and non-board agencies, department offices, and all bodies of officers, the village of Austining must comply with the chapter waterfront consistent review to the extent applicable prior to carrying out, approving and founding any type one of unlisted actions since the Austining Local Waterfront Revitalization Program LWRP is also a designated critical environment area. All unlisted actions became type one actions, and whereas the Board of Trustees is responsible for determining whether the proposed zoning code text change is consistent with the village LWRP. And now there be resolved that the Board of Trustees refers to the Environment Advisory Council information necessary to conduct the consistent review, which information should include the coastal assessment form and environment assessment form. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any comments or questions? Go ahead.
No. All in favor?
Aye.
Fire Department appointment monitor host, company number 2, resolved upon recommendation of the fire chief, Dante Santucci, Austining, New York, was elected as active firefighter member of the Austining monitor host, company number 2. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any comments or questions? Good?
Mhm.
Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Fire Department appointment Hula Host, company number 5, resolved that upon recommendation of the fire chief, the following members were elected as active firefighters of Hula Host company number 6. Francisco Alvarez, Austining, New York, 10562. Lauren Diggs, Brewster, New York, 10509. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any comments? Go ahead.
All in favor?
Aye.
Fire Department appointment Cataract Host, company number 2, resolved upon recommendation of the fire chief, Jorge Luis Prado Alvarez, Austining, New York, was elected as active firefighter member of Austining Cataract Host, company number 2. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any comments or questions?
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Continuing business of the board. None. New business of the board. We have special presentation proposed adult use cannabis dispensary, upscale smoker, 140 South Highland Avenue.
All right, just so we're clear, there are 2 items, and for those of you that are following the agenda, they're both regarding cannabis dispensaries. I didn't see a presentation. I don't know if it was sent, or was it a link that I missed?
Yes. So we got one presentation of the 2. The second one, which I can explain when we get to them, there are some considerations that they're still working out about whether they're going to go forward on that site in particular. So they didn't go forward with a presentation, but they still didn't want to miss the opportunity to speak to the board, give as much specificity as possible about the site, that they've already applied to the state to examine. But the first PowerPoint presentation we got yesterday.
Okay.
And we've
right.
got it shared up on the screen as well.
I don't know who's talking here.
Okay, I can give a little bit of an intro.
Okay, before you do the intro, again, we're back. Everybody's back. So here's the protocol. We get
Sorry.
presentations. We get presentations a week in advance. We're not going to entertain going forward presentations unless the board gets them in advance. And I'm sure there will be exceptions, and that's all cool. Were they informed that no more than 10 minutes for the presentations?
Yes.
Okay, fabulous. That's great. That keeps it down. And then we'll ask questions, obviously, after that. So we'll start with A, which I guess is up and running. Up here, right? Somebody wants to kick us off?
So is this for 140 South Highland Avenue?
Yeah, let me just
Okay,
do a
great.
very quick 10-second intro. This is Upscale Smoker at 140 South Highland Avenue. This is an application for what used to be the Westwood Flooring Building behind what used to be KFC. So this is on South Highland Avenue. Jacob Hicks is here from the consulting team for this property. I know there are several other people from that concern who are also logged in as panelists on the Zoom. So I'll hand it over to Jacob.
Great, thank you.
Great. Thank you for the introduction, and a big thank you to the Board of Trustees for the opportunity to present tonight. My name is Jacob Hicks, owner's representative and vice president at 10X Strategies, which is a government relations and public affairs firm specializing in highly regulated industries, including cannabis. We are here to introduce Upscale Smoker, which is doing business as Kushmart, a proposed retail cannabis dispensary at 140 South Highland Avenue, and some of the ownership team is joining me here tonight as well. Our goal with Kushmart is to provide the Village of Austining with a professionally run dispensary that reflects both our team's experience and the seriousness with which we approach approvals and operations, something that we've done already successfully in New York and something that we want to continue to do in Austining. We were asked to present here in light of the impending moratorium. Let's begin with our ownership team. So we bring together experienced operators, healthcare professionals, and retail managers with proven success in the New York market and all components which make for a successful store. First set of owners, husband and wife, Slava and Kylan Iofi. They bring extensive experience in the cannabis industry. As the owners of the Kushmart brand, they oversee all New York operations, ensuring consistency, efficiency, and operational excellence. Slava operates the Lancaster, New York store, which is the first operational New York store of the Kushmarts, and guides the brand's strategic direction and expansion. Next, we have Dr. Mindy O'Kay, a dentist with nearly 3 decades of experience running her own practice in Summit, New Jersey, who's expanded into cannabis operations with her first project being in Haverstraw, New York, which is currently being built out. Austining will be her second New York project. And then we have James Adams, a New York native and dispensary owner who manages operations for the Kushmart in Brooklyn. His operational expertise ensures efficient, compliant, and community-centered store management, something that we will be bringing to Austining if provided the opportunity to do so. So the team has navigated the state and I guess most germane to this conversation, the local approval processes across 4 different municipalities in New York, and 3 of them have had those local processes. In Lancaster, New York, we've obtained a change of use approval and a special use permit. In Lackawanna, we've received both a special use permit and site plan approval, and in Haverstraw, secured special permit approval as well as variance request approvals. And I say this to highlight the success and our familiarity with municipal processes, and also the ability to deliver compliant projects with local requirements in a timely, compliant manner, meeting the state and local regulation guidelines. We've gotten these approvals with the success of our project partners who have worked with us on all of these projects, bringing together a team who's worked together throughout the lifespan of the New York cannabis market. And we are here to do the same thing again with Austining. So first is 10X. This is the firm that I am work for. We're a government relations and public affairs firm. We provide end-to-end project management and consulting on local and state approvals for Kushmart. We've helped them obtain all their local approvals, and we also work with other cannabis dispensaries throughout New York. Next is Mecca, a full-service construction firm who does dispensaries, cultivation, and manufacturing in 8 different states across the country. Partnered with Vivid Arc, who's our architectural project partner, licensed as well in 8 states, in all cannabis verticals, manufacturing, cultivation, and retail alike. And finally, we have our compliance team, the law offices of Craig Delsek, who also provide assistance with our real estate lease negotiations, regulatory challenges and hurdles, things of that nature. A very comprehensive team that allows us to get operations open, swiftly. Next, I wanted to just show you some photos of a store that has been running for about 4 months now in Lancaster, New York, just to give you a real-time, sense of what the store is like and what the signage and the lighting looks like, which is something that was requested of us. As you can see here, got the exterior facade. This was an old family video, recessed lighting. There's no neon or bright lights, and just lit just enough for the parking lot for the safety of our customers. Here you can see our inside is the point of sale, half oval, welcoming environment for our customers as well. Just another picture there. You can see into the dispensary, but you can't look into, or you can look into the dispensary from being inside, but you can't look in it as a passerby due to the regulations. So that's what you see there. Next, we just wanted to show you our mock site plan. We had been requested to talk about what the parking might look like on the site, as well as the lighting. So we have 9 dedicated spots for Cushmart. You see those here in red, and we just finalized our parking agreement with the landlord and the other tenant that share this parcel with us. So the purple spots, which make up to 11, are shared parking for Cushmart, and the other 2 businesses. And then we have these 9 dedicated existing and to be made spots for Cushmart if we end up going forward with our land use process. This is an example of lighting. I just want to, gently mention we have recessed lightings, not neon, in compliance with all of the codes that we've worked with before. We've done foot candle studies as well to make sure that the lighting meets the standards of the city or the village that we're in. And this is an example of our Havistraw location facade that is getting built out as we speak. And then here's a floor plan for our location. We, lay out the principles and the operational efficiencies for the store. If you could just go to the next slide too, I just want to show, this functions similarly to a bank. It's one of the most highly regulated industries in the country next to pharmaceuticals and nuclear weapons. So the vaults is a mesh security vault to prevent external theft. We've got the sales floor, and then we have a 3-pronged security system with security cameras and surveillance that operate 24/7, as well as access controls and panic buttons in case of an emergency. These security elements are important for ensuring no loitering or on-site consumption on our property. This is a rendering of our location in Austining. That's what we hope to have it look like at the end of the day. Thought it was important to show what the end product might look like. Finally, we wanted to just highlight our staffing plan. So each shift will include 5 to 6 staff members with multiple rotations a day. Positions include managers, assistant managers, greeters, budtenders, and inventory back of house staff. We're committed to hiring locally, just as we've done in our other locations in New York, providing career growth pathways from entry level all the way up to assistant manager and ultimately general manager roles. These are long-term economic opportunities for Austining residents, spanning educational degrees and the need for those degrees. It provides a very great opportunity. And all of our stores have hired employees that live within the range of 10 to 15-minute either walk or drive time, depending on the geographical setting that they're in. And Austining will be no different. So in summary, our team brings proven experience, trusted partners, and a commitment to Austining. We've had the opportunity to come in front of Austining. I did want to share where we are in the process with the village. In addition to being licensed by the state as a provisionally licensed cannabis dispensary, our team has begun engaging with the village of Austining even prior to the moratorium to initiate the land use process. We submitted our notice to municipality to operate on July 10th, which was received on July 11th. And followed up with several different communication channels that led ultimately to a pre-application meeting on August 20th. We had the pleasure of meeting with the village's review team at that time. We were able to ask questions and discuss the project in greater detail and receive helpful guidance. It was constructive and positive, and we're grateful for the time that the village has provided to us, and we're happy to answer any questions that the board or the public has on our operations. Thank you.
Thank you. I think there's probably some questions, and Maddie, you've been involved with this as well. So this is part of the process that the state has designated, is that boards of trustees speak with, have presentations from. Like every business has to go through the local municipality and the different boards of planning, the zoning, whatever they have to go through. Everything that was said, I think, is within the New York State requirements, and I think that's great. I do have some questions, but I'm going to go last. Is there anything that he might have left that we should know about? Because we've asked others in the past.
Yep. So just 2 things very quickly. The first is, as Jacob correctly stated, we've sort of seen where the board has had the most specific concerns going forward, having to do with parking, lighting, security, things of that nature, all of which I think were highlighted here. So good job on that. The second thing was just a reminder for this application, and then the second, which we'll talk about in a little bit more detail. The ask of the board right now, and the reason that we had this tonight and not in a work session, is because Office of Cannabis Management offers a very narrow window for the Board of Trustees to provide comment. So based on what the conversation is at the dais tonight, we will spin around very quickly a letter for your review that will get sent to OCM later this week.
Okay, great. So I have a few questions, but you know what, Pat, do you want to start since probably
Sure. No, I appreciate it. So
we'll start with you this time.
okay, thank you. Appreciate you coming. Sorry I'm not there in person, but work. Can you do me a favor? Could you like turn off the presentation? Great, appreciate that. So, thank you, Jacob. Appreciate the conversation and the background. And so a couple of questions. I was trying to do some research and just trying to like dig up some stuff. And so one of the questions I had was you had mentioned some of the owners, and when I looked up what I thought was one of your licenses, I thought I saw an address of it out in Long Island. Would that for an upscale smoker LLC license? Is that you or is that somebody else? Or where does that fit in the ownership
That's
structure?
there's a different Slava that actually has a license in Long Island. That is a different different applicant.
Different upscale smoker LLC, so they're using
No,
your
this license was originally in Long Island, but we couldn't find a location there because it's almost impossible. And we ended up moving it. This license moved around to several locations. Either it didn't work out because we couldn't get a lease or couldn't find a location.
Okay, so I did. So I'm not like mistaken. I saw it. I
No,
saw
you were right.
one out in Long Island. I saw one in Queens, I think.
It went to Albany, and then it
Right.
went to Staten Island, and now we're here.
All right. So you're
Like,
right.
the location moves, but the same license.
Okay. All right. So you're looking for a place to put the license, essentially, right? And so how did you select Ossining?
There's a handful of compliant locations in New York that fit the requirements that we're looking for in a municipality, such as vehicle traffic, the community, as well as the appetite for the village or the municipality to entertain businesses such as these, typical of another retail use as well, like a liquor store or a clothing store. We choose, where we are for the same reasons.
Got it. So I'm just kind of curious. So what was the like vehicle traffic kind of trigger that put Ossining on the radar?
16,000
16,000 what? Right.
Vehicles per day?
Passing through this location.
Got it. So given that, then is your target market local or is your target market outside of the geography?
Our target
You're
market
looking for that kind of traffic.
Yeah, it's local. It's also people passing through that might live in neighboring communities where, their community does not have a dispensary.
Got it. So given that, so what's your kind of like target number of transactions a day then?
Our target number of transactions is typically around 100 to 120 transactions per day.
100 to 120?
Yeah, and that's, once we've been up and running and we work out the kinks of the retail operations, there's always things to shake out, but probably after 6 months, that sounds like a healthy number to me.
Got it. And an average ring?
For a basket size? Oh, an average range, and yeah, and then customers typically purchase between $70 and $100 worth of product every 2 weeks.
Got it. So each ring is going to be $70 to $100, and so you're looking for a clientele that can afford to spend rough 200 to $250 a month on, or 150 to $200 a month.
Yeah, I mean that's the typical, but there is those consumers that don't have those types of funds, and they'll come in and they'll have smaller basket sizes, but they'll purchase more frequently. So we're not targeting a specific economic group, I guess is where.
Okay, no, I'm just trying to get a sense because
Yeah,
I'm
yeah, yeah,
trying to-
just
I'm
the-
trying to understand. So,
Mhm.
so when I think about kind of like the market, right?
Mhm.
And so I think about the like the traffic that you're looking for, and I think about sort of the economics of it, right? You know, there are 3 in process, and you know another 2 which drive kind of like the retail market for essentially like a specific location, people who can spend that amount. Like it's a pretty high dilution of the market. So I'm trying to just get a sense of how you view that from like making the economics of a location like this work, right? Given potential dilution of your target market. Like, you know, if you're looking for 16,000 a day, well, the reality is that those 16,000 are also going to be traveling past potentially 3 other locations on that same road, right?
Potentially, I don't
So,
think that potentially. I don't think that they're on the same road. Necessarily, I think they're targeting different parts of Austining for sure. But I do see the concern about that. I would offer, you know, there is actually no dispensaries that are up and open in Austining at the moment. As you just saw, I believe our team is well suited to, you know, we can go as fast as Austining would let us go just based on our construction team and our architectural team who've been working on, you know, the other 3 projects that we have going on in Austining and can get this built up very quickly. This is
Yep.
also the interior fit up of a store. So it doesn't have, and it was a showroom. So there's not a lot of work to be done on the interior of the building. And I'd also say, you know, we're like any other retail store. Maybe it's not exactly the same as a McDonald's and a Burger King being right next to each other, but it's a similar concept. And we have a brand that we're very confident in and have seen success in the past that differentiates us.
no, understand that. I appreciate that. So no, I mean there are two locations on the same road, and so if your traffic
Mhm.
number is 16,000 for Route 9, then that would include 2 of the other locations, and then that have been through the board process already, and then the third is actually speaking after you, and then another one which I took out of that is located in a different location that's not on the same road, right? So that's kind of from that perspective. So
Yeah, and I think we
um,
think about it as
yeah.
a free market approach, I guess. Let the best, you know, let the best man win. And the person with the best products, you know, and the best customer service experience will be the person that ends up there maybe at the end of the day.
Yep, I understand. So, but yeah, um, so that's helpful, right? From a just kind of a perspective, right? But you know, we also like don't want languishing retail establishments either, right? So like part of the board's job is to make sure we don't have empty storefronts, right? So that part of that too. Last question that I have is when did you sign the lease?
The
Signed,
lease,
executed, not agreed to.
the lease was signed on July 10th, I believe, which is the same date that we noticed the municipality of our intent to operate.
So I got 2, because there were two letters. One said you finalized it, and then the next one said we now have an executed. So I'm assuming that those were 2 different dates. So I'm just trying to understand.
Yeah, I believe the lease was executed on July 10th or July 10th or 11th, one of those 2 days, just one day apart. I can also just verify this. But it was the same day that the village received the notice to operate.
Frozen? Hey, Pat, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm waiting for
You're
that.
thinking.
No, that's fine.
Yes, because the
Does-
date sounds a little bit close to when the discussions were already being had about a moratorium.
Because we had talked about the potential of
Yeah,
the potential of a of a moratorium, like before it actually came up for the approval vote, right? So it was actually before that. So that's what I'm just trying to understand. So, okay. Those are my questions. You know, I
Okay,
can see
thank
some
you,
of
Pat.
the struggle economically in the market from that perspective. And so you know, that's it for now. It's
Okay.
getting late out there. I'm on the West Coast, so I'm early. So
He's working. You want to go? Do you have any questions?
Well, I had two, but Pat
Please.
took one,
Oh,
so
took one of them?
it was about the lease.
sorry, Trustee Fritchie.
That's okay, you're entitled. Can we go back to the rendering of the front of the store, if possible?
I don't know who's managing the slides, actually.
Yeah. Yeah, we've got
Okay,
it.
that would be you guys?
Yeah. Just give us a moment. And are you referring to this one here?
The front, yes, as you're looking.
That.
So
Yes.
the windows, and we know that the state tells you can't see anything from the outside. You're not supposed to be able to look into the store from there, correct?
Yes, you're not allowed to look into the store if there's product where you're looking. So if there's a vestibule, you can look into that vestibule if there's no dummy product on the floor. If there's dummy product on the floor, you're not allowed to see that. Yes.
Okay, so what's the plan? I'm maybe ahead of the game here, but I'm curious because the village code is you're not allowed to have more than 25% coverage on the windows
Uh-huh.
when you do this. So I don't know what your plan is to work around that. I don't know if you've
Yeah.
got shades that you're pulling down. I don't know. Maybe I'm getting into the weeds a little bit, but
No,
just
this is a
popped into
great
my head.
question. This is a great question, and was solved for this. Do you want to go to slide 15, Carrie? So if you see here, from the inside of the dispensary, you can see out.
Mhm.
But if you're on the outside of the dispensary, you're not able to see in. So
Okay,
that's
but
the technology that we've used in previous
The
dispensaries.
code is the opposite, isn't it?
It-
Isn't the?
it's the opposite. The
It's the
code, you're supposed to be
opposite.
able to see into the store.
supposed to
And
be-
I understand the hurdle because of the state regulations.
Mhm.
It's more of a safety factor than anything. We understand, why the state wants it that way,
Mhm.
loitering or people,
Right.
we get that. It's just that, we need to take some consideration into how much coverage you're putting on that window or windows at all.
Yeah, and that's something that I
Yeah.
know you guys. Oh,
Yeah, but
sorry.
do you want to comment on it, Maddie?
I'm sorry. So Jacob and Trustee Fritchie, you're both sort of right. So when this has come up in the past, typically the reason for, non-cannabis dispensary establishments is so, as Trustee Fritchie mentioned, in an emergency responders can see into the business so that if there's something that they need to be aware of before they enter, they can know. But my understanding, and I will check back with our building inspector and also with our planner and land use attorney to make sure, but I believe that New York State regulations supersede our local code on this particular issue.
Okay. Have no more questions.
Okay. Can I go
We're
to
also
you,
happy
Deputy
to-
Mayor?
Yeah.
No, we're good. You want to go?
Yeah, I'll go. Thank you for presenting to us. Really appreciate it. First, I'll say in terms of timing, it's a real shame that you're going now, that you're presenting now, compared to some of the presentations we've seen in the past. This was very well organized and professional and put together, and I would have loved for this to be one of the first ones that we saw so that we can compare to some of the ones that we've seen. And I don't love the colors. That's such a small thing. It's such a personal thing. It has no bearing in your business. God bless, but I don't love the colors. Okay, now to what actually matters here. When we discussed where dispensaries should be in Ossining, we of course talked about them not being near schools or all the other places where the regulations say. And basically the way that it shook out was that we looked at the Main Street area, we looked at North Highland, South Highland, and kind of in the middle of Highland Avenue as places, kind of potential places, and everywhere else was too close to a church or a school or whatever else.
Mhm.
And when we looked at South Highland, there was the Arcadian that we looked at, and we said, well, that might be a place, but that turned out not to be viable. And so as far as we knew, this was a no-go. That area of the village was kind of untouched by dispensaries until this particular proposal. So the reason that I bring that up is, from my perspective, if this were to go through, then you would essentially have in the north, the south, and kind of two in the middle, and that would meet basically what our conversations have been. So in terms of whether I would support, because we have to write a letter here, and the letter is going to say, we as a board support, or we have concerns. For my one vote, I would say support, and there are no specific concerns that stand out to me. One question that I have is around community involvement. So as much as you've discussed the particulars around kind of hiring people that are local and so forth, one of the things that I have heard other businesses talk about that I appreciated and would like to hear a little bit more about you is how you might be involved in the community. I totally appreciate the 16,000 cars that are passing by and the potential for business there, but we want to feel a little love, a little special, to know that you're coming to Ossining not just for our many cars, but also for what else we bring to the table, and that you see yourself being a part of our community. So would love to hear a little bit about how you might integrate yourself into our community.
Absolutely. Yeah. So we are very active in communities in the appropriate ways, I believe, that we can be. As you know, we're an age-restricted product. So we try to build community in ways that we're allowed to advertise in and also just be in, which are often 21 plus settings. So we help with community engagement through first, our involvement with different kind of state programs that have helped incarcerated individuals as well as those that are affected on the war on drugs. And then in terms of Ossining in particular, we have the sales tax that we give to the village of Ossining every, I believe, quarter, which is a 4% sales tax. We're definitely open as well to hearing ideas from Ossining as to how we can best help and provide support and resources to the community. A lot of the times we wait for the community to give us an understanding of what is important to them rather than assuming or overstepping in ways that those might not find to be appropriate. For example, we've had issues in the past where someone's sponsoring a Little League event or something that surrounds, children or another affected group. So it's something that we're interested in and that we're kind of really looking for the Ossining to tell us how we could further contribute other than, through sales tax. So
We
we're
also
also
work with the reentry program.
the reentry. Thank you. I was trying to describe that, Slava, but you did it much better very
And
quickly.
it's actually really hard for us to work with organizations. A lot of them just don't want to work with us because of the industry we're in.
Yeah, no, that totally makes sense. I would say that for Ossining, some of the ideas that I would present include partnering with our police department, known internet-wide. And they, I think, would be strong partners in figuring out, ways of talking about safety and so forth. We have a chamber of commerce, certainly, but I think that largely the fact that we are a village that also has a maximum security state prison within our boundaries, in talking about the reentry program, there's a particular salience that has here. So I think just kind of dialing up the Ossining love would be great, and that's it for me.
And we do work with the chambers of commerce and Buffalo as well.
Thank you.
Thank
Dana,
you.
anything?
Thank you very much. I agree. I guess the color scheme and the logo and everything, that is your branding and that is consistent from one location to another.
Correct.
Okay. Yeah, yellow and red. It's very cartoony. If I were a young person, I would be drawn to it. But, you seem like you know what you're doing. You've done it before, so I have no other questions.
So I have 5 questions. So I'll start with where Pat was going. Many of us do come back from a business background, so it's sort of interesting. And just to be clear, I appreciate your Burger King McDonald's piece, but this entire village that we are overseeing is all of 3.5 square miles, which is the equivalent of, not very big. A lot of people, 30,000 approximately, in the road you're building on. So I would say that Burger King and McDonald's would never sell either their franchise on their own management, multiple locations in 3.5 miles. They probably would each have maybe one. And so I think it's a great analogy. I'm just not sure it's a concern of ours, actually. You actually hit the nail on the head. That actually works, the reason that we're actually asking for a moratorium. Our vision when we started, as the deputy mayor described, is not where we are because we feel pretty strongly that based on the information we had and folks who came in front of us, and maybe you should have been the first one, but you weren't here. So that, I think, is a statement, not a question. And those 16,000, I mean, there really are like 3 or 4 places already, and there are more that want to come here, and the board has a responsibility to sort of say, had it been the way we understood it from the state, the way attorneys had told us, the way groups had told us, and all of that, and what this involves, some of us may have not voted to have dispensaries here. Maybe we all would have, but some of us may not have. The goalposts have changed on us, and we need to put like sort of a pause so that we can rediscuss where we are with this topic. Because the board actually voted, I think unanimously, right, Stuart? Yes, okay, which is great. So I think that's just so the public, when they look at this, and they will, understand why we are pausing now, because the goalposts have changed. And we went into this with both feet planted forward. I am confused, so if you can enlighten me to who these owners are. Our understanding when we started this is local, that it'll be formerly incarcerated and all these wonderful things. But the owners that I'm looking at, I'm not even sure exactly who I'm speaking to on this, and I don't mean your names. Who are the owners that add up to 100% of ownership of this particular site? I saw 4 different lovely pictures of people from Long Island and Brooklyn. I didn't see anybody from this area. Haverstraw is not this area, across the river. So who exactly owns this particular site and what is their equity position?
Yes, that's a great question. James Adams is a 30% owner, is a formerly, has been involved with cannabis and the legal system involved in that long before this market was an inception. We also have Slava and Kylan Iofi, who live in New Jersey and commute in New York, obviously have many different business ties to the different dispensaries here. And then Dr. Mindy, who lives in
I didn't hear the percentage that they own.
Kylan owns 36%, Slava owns 19%, and then Dr. Mindy owns 15%.
Okay, so that's 4 entities. And do they own other businesses together?
Yes, they are partnering with the Kushmart. So Slava and Mindy also work on the Have a Straw project together. Slava and James work in the Brooklyn project together. Slava and James also work on the Lancaster and Lackawanna projects together.
And what do you guys own? Or are you?
We're
Are
government.
you're consultants?
We're consultants, yes. We're the owner's rep hired by the ownership group that I just listed.
So they're an ownership group. They went out, they do some things together, some things not. They got together and they found you guys.
Yes.
Okay, and government relations groups are generally a nice way to describe lobbyists. So is one of your parts of your organization is to be lobbyists? Somebody needs to mute because they're on the phone while they're on here. You know who it is? Muted them? Okay,
They're
So-
muted.
okay.
No, we don't have registered lobbyists in New York.
Do you have
we-
them in other parts of the country?
We have one lobbyist in Massachusetts where we're
Okay,
where we live.
got it.
But
All
we
right,
don't
so
have any registered
You're not
lobbyists.
lobbyists.
No.
Okay.
Nope.
Got it. So the sales tax question is, and I think one of our other presentations had it. I think remember myself and somebody else sort of gasped. And since you have a lot of knowledge in this, I think Dana is right, a highly professional, seem to know what you're doing. What's the expected monthly revenue in year one, and what's the expected monthly revenue in year two?
So we are believing that this store specifically would have revenue of $3 million for the year,
3 million for the year.
for the first year, and that climbs
Okay.
to 5 to then 4 million.
5 million for like year two through whatever, like.
I would
probably
actually say probably 3.5 million for year 2 and then 4 million for year 3.
Okay, all right, so then it's 4%. But that's actually, and I'm looking at you, Maddie, that's significantly different than another presentation. I mean, everybody has their own revenue projections. It's not my place, but it's significantly lower actually than the others. Okay, than one of the others that I can remember. Got it. Okay, and you're gonna employ probably, it looks to me like about 5 to 8 people.
No, definitely more.
Okay, how many more?
Maybe not full-time equivalent. So if maybe full-time equivalent, 7 or 8, but we'll probably hire between 15 and 18 to take, shifts of those 5 to 6 per shift.
All
And
right,
our numbers are conservative because we want to we factor in the wholesale price of cannabis going down and basket size is going down, customer size is staying the same or going up a little bit more.
oh, then I would say that trustee Yost knows exactly what he's talking about. He's talking about too many in square miles. So, they wouldn't be going down, they should be going up.
Well, customers up, wholesale costs going down, like the price of cannabis.
Right, the price of cannabis, but the competition piece is what he was actually getting at. Because that's actually part of our responsibility and a little bit of a surprise to us. Therefore, we're calling for a moratorium, and that is actually what we're explaining to the public. So I think I asked my questions. I think this is great. It is very professional, whether we like the signage or not. That's just input from us. I don't like it either, and I've been doing marketing for 25 years. But that ain't my business. That's your business because you want to make as much money as you can. So I'm sure you studied all the colors and all of that. I do think that something that the deputy mayor brought up, all of these conversations were not just about revenue. That's not why we did this. We did this for the community, and we think it's a growing business. And so far, I haven't really heard any commitments to either hiring local, except that they'll try. They're not committing to that. Neither is anybody else, by the way. And that's a conversation as we get more in the pipeline that should be us. It's not a building department question. It's not a legal question. But we seem to have very little commitment to hiring people here, to discussing the incarcerated programs that this was supposed to be helpful to, minorities that this was supposed to be helpful to, lower income people this was supposed to be helpful to, all the promises that were made, and the reason we all went in both feet forward unanimously. So I think those are questions worth having, and at least if they're presented, not with we'll try, but actually commit to, should be part of the revenue. There should be another 10% of the revenue that is committed to community endeavors, TBDs. So none of these presentations talk. So for us, I think it would be helpful. I'm not sure the state needs it for the letter, however. This is always down to board because you guys talk, not us. We just approve or not approve. I'm seeing such a slippery slope. All the commitments that we thought we were going to get, one presentation of the other is like, trust us, we'll do it. and doesn't, and I'm not talking to you guys right now, I'm actually talking to our own staff. I'm not seeing any of this actually, and these are not local companies. None of these people are local. And the company is a national company looking for a place to open up the next McDonald's. It's not a, for cannabis. And Dana and I talk about this all the time. Massachusetts, they're all over the place. They look like spas for the most part. I mean, they're expensive. I don't think anybody under 50 can even afford half this stuff, but that's, again, not my business model. What do I know? That's not my job here. So it would be helpful to get more commitments going forward in these presentations for all the promises that we were made when we voted on this. I am concerned that I believe it's across a playground. I don't think playground, right, Stuart? Playgrounds don't qualify for any of this.
Correct.
Okay, so sort of moved away from that.
Well,
Right.
that becomes my question is how can you guarantee that somebody doesn't buy something there and go across the street to the park or the playground and consume it? You know, we
Think that they
can't
can.
control that.
I don't
Not
know. I
our
think
job, that you can
Yeah.
never control.
they can.
Do that
in
when
the
you buy
parking lot.
alcohol.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
we have actually laws about beer being drinking beer in our parks, but yeah, it's the same idea. But I think that's an enforcement issue. I don't think. All right, it's their model, but I think the other piece is it's a lot of like, oh, we'll get to that. I'm not hearing any wonderful stuff. Community in the tax piece, I'm sure, is going to be wonderful based on the actual numbers that are done. Are there any questions I forgot?
No, but trustee Yost has his hand raised.
Oh, I'm sorry. Before we do that, give me a second. Stuart, anything I forgot? I just want to go through the staff.
No, I think, Maddie, you know what we basically have to report to the state, so it's
Yeah.
fairly, but other than not from the legal end, no.
Okay, great. I'm sorry. Trustee Yost, you said has his hand up? Okay. Oh, yeah, I just saw it just this minute. Sorry.
Yeah, I was going to, trustee Fritchie, do you have any questions? I've already spoken once, so.
No, I think he's.
No, you took
He
one of
already-
mine and I already took a.
Oh, that's
had a
right, you did. You're
question.
good. Okay. Okay. So who owns the trademark / service mark, whatever you're calling it for Cushmark?
Slava Iofi, who's right there.
And you own 100% of the trademark? Okay,
Yeah,
you're on mute. Sorry,
Yeah,
Slava,
you're
but
muted.
Mr.
Sorry.
Luff, you're
Yeah,
on
sorry.
mute.
Me and my wife own it.
Okay, got it. And you're Jersey residents, right?
Correct.
And is that why Mindy and James have a certain percent ownership in order to be able to get a New York license? Is that how that works? I'm not sure what the rules are on out-of-state ownership for licenses.
No, this is a C license, so it just has to be 50% women owned.
Okay,
And there's
got
no
it. So that's where you get the 36 and 15. That's why it's 51. Okay.
That's why it's 51.
Yep.
Interesting.
Okay. All right, interesting. That is interesting. So I appreciate the question from Trustee Lopez on the community component, because that was actually one of my questions, but I wasn't going to dive into it to take too much more time. But because, in both of the letters that were sent to the VBOT, there was a focus on community centric, and I agree with the mayor in terms of, I think it's fairly light in terms of how that's actually going to happen in terms of, an ownership group that is really like all outside the locale, the folks that the location that was chosen not because of like the environment, but because of the traffic pattern. That's why I asked that question first. And so to me, like the community part wasn't necessarily part of the choice of this for this particular location, but simply because it was availability. And so for me, that's kind of how it got here. And so for me, that's that's what I'm taking into consideration in terms of either saying, do I support or not support? So.
Thank you, Trustee Yost. Okay, Chief, anything? Good? Okie dokie. On to the next one. Thank you, folks, for all of you being here tonight.
Thank you.
I'm looking at a logo behind one of the people there. Sorry.
All right. So under
That's what it
new
says.
That's the next one.
business, all right, so under new business of the board, the next presentation will be special presentation, proposed adult use cannabis dispensary, King's House of Fire, 175, 177 North Highland Avenue.
Thanks, Janet. I'll again introduce the team. This presentation should be a little bit more truncated. In speaking with Walter and Capri earlier today, they informed me that because they are not necessarily going forward on this site, the information that they're going to give you this evening is mostly about their business and then as much about the site as is possible. As a reminder to everyone listening, this is not so much about the concern itself as it is the location of the concern. So again, because we only have this very narrow 60-day window, we thought it was more important to have the board hear something than to not hear anything at all, in case Kings did decide to move forward at this particular location. But again, this is 175, 177 North Highland, which is the frontage of the Brandon Furniture factory that currently is vacant. So Walter, Capri, I'll turn it over to you guys.
Yes, good evening, Mayor and Village Board. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes.
I hope you guys are all having a great night. I'm sure your dispensary out, so I'm definitely not going to take up too much of your time.
Orange and yellow.
First and foremost, before we start, I just want to say that whether we do business in Ossining or not, I think the moratorium is extremely important for the village, and I appreciate you guys definitely taking the step to kind of take that head on, because a lot of municipalities I've seen are kind of just staying out of it and letting the best man win. So I think that's extremely important to make sure all retailers in your town are sustainable. But I'll start by introducing me and my team. My name's Walter King. I'm the owner of King's House of Fire. I'm joined alongside my mother, Joan. She's the co-founder. My sister, Capri, she's the COO. And then our CFO, who's my other sister, Waikima. Originally, the purpose of tonight's meeting was to talk about the proposed location, which is at the Brandon's Furniture Store, the lot next door, actually, the empty vacant lot. But full transparency, we're unsure if we're moving forward with that location, so I really didn't want to be counterproductive or waste anyone's time. Go ahead, next slide.
My name is
So
Steve.
a little bit about our brand. Our motto is where our house is your house. So we're family owned and operated with deep Ossining roots. I'm not sure if you guys recognize the name, but my dad's name is Walter King as well. He owned King Shell Service Station, which is kind of by Arcadian. He's been there for 40 years, 40 plus years. My dad's a idol to me. He's a volunteer firefighter, volunteer police officer, truly the definition of what it means to be a staple in the community and a business owner. We have deep roots in Ossining, and all of our businesses are built on quality, trust, and community service. To date, we have the largest cannabis dispensary in Westchester County. Pretty much, it's just a lifestyle brand. We want to offer a safe space for people to purchase and transact cannabis. No intentions of any type of consumption on site. And we offer pretty much a curated menu for enthusiasts and both novice or intermediate users. We focus and pride ourselves on education. We believe in plant medicine, so we believe that there are a lot of people that can benefit from the plant. And again, we just want to offer the most safe space for people to transact. At this point, I'll just turn it over to Capri, and then she'll kind of tell you guys a little bit more about the brand.
Good evening, everyone. So I'm just going to share a short video from one of our customers at our Cortland Manor location so you can just hear firsthand from him.
My name is Steve. First time I walked into this shop, I was duly impressed. It's about as clean as a doctor's office. Been a fan for a while. I'm thrilled that it's become a legalized product. And this is my favorite place to shop. And amount of options are unbelievable. So drop by.
Yes. So I'm going to share a little bit more about who we are as a brand and what sets King's House of Fire apart. King's House of Fire is built on curation. We don't just put products on the shelves. We carefully select the best flower, edibles, vapes, and accessories for our customers that really truly exhibit both variety and quality, keeping into taking into the fact that there's many different price points that customers or consumers can afford. Every single product that we put on our shelf is intentional, and it's designed to meet the needs of new consumers and experience enthusiasts as well. Compliance and safety are at the center of everything that we do. It's not just about selling cannabis for us. It's about the education, the responsibility, and ensuring that every customer walks away informed and safe. Most importantly, King's House of Fire is about community. Beyond retail, we've hosted toy drives, coat drives, and women hygiene drives. For us, success is measured in sales, but in the positive impact that we make in the neighborhoods that we serve. So I'm going to take a moment and show you another video. And this is from an event that we had in store, which was one of our drives. And it was a give back moment where the customers came and they brought canned goods to donate to a local shelter.
The best thing that's ever happened to Portland Manor.
How's it going, guys? Walter checking in here from our first annual Friendsgiving. Again, overwhelmed by the amount of love and support, and I'm happy to serve my community. Thank you for coming. I appreciate you guys as always. Welcome home.
So Walter ended that video with welcome home. And that is truly what sets us apart. We're not a dispensary, or we're just not a dispensary. We're a community partner. And it feels like home at King's House of Fire. We operate as a full service cannabis business. So what that means is that we offer a full retail dispensary while we also run a compliant delivery program. So we make cannabis accessible to consumers in a safe way. But what makes us truly unique is how we deeply root ourselves in our community. We partner not only with local vendors, but with small businesses and nonprofits. We believe that our success should open the door for others, not close it. We also pride ourselves on hiring locally. Our team is made up of people in the Cortland, Manor, and Peekskill community. And I'm also proud to say that 2 of our staff members are Ossining residents. It's not just about hiring the best staff, but we truly want to give back to the community. And we don't just offer jobs, we create career paths. So yes, at the senior leadership level, this is a family-run business, as Walter explained. But together, him and I and our sister Waikima, we bring decades of retail and community experience to the table. I have over 15 years corporate executive retail experience with Macy's, and Walter and my other family members being serial entrepreneurs, as we've mentioned, our father having the gas station in Ossining for over 40 years, dating back family lineage to our grandfather, who has been there for over 52 years, since 1973. Our mom, also business owner, over 30 years, a daycare in the city of Peekskill with 4 locations. So we truly make sure that every decision that we make when running this business is guided by both our family values and our professional expertise. And finally, our growth vision is rooted in responsibility. We're not chasing rapid expansion. We're building deliberately through concepts like sustainable locations, educational programs, and meaningful brand collaborations. And so that's why today we're unsure of the location, because we're not just looking to expand. We want to make sure that we're in the right location. So I'm just going to share another video from one of our customers so that he can tell you what it's like when he stepped inside King's House of Fire.
This is like it's more like a display case, one big display case. My name is Mitchell. I've been to a lot of over the years. Some holes in the wall and some that are decent and nice. But I can tell you one thing, that when I came here for the soft opening and everything that was going on at the same time during the soft opening, I stood there. I couldn't move. I didn't know what to do. I mean, this had been a place that was just amazing to me, you know, with the car and everything else that's added to it. And I also get a feeling of family here, okay, that people are working with one another. And that's why it becomes as successful as it is. I ask anybody that sees this, that has not been here to see, King's House of Fire,
You owe it to yourself to take a look, is what Mitch was saying. I'm going to pass it over to Walter.
So to just wrap it up, obviously the final question is why Ossining, right? So as I explained, we have deep family lineage in Ossining, New York. Me and my siblings all graduated from St. Anne's elementary school, and we just love the community in Ossining. We also feel like from a business standpoint, right, Ossining is extremely underserved. As you guys know, there's a bunch of smoke shops probably operating and allowing people to purchase illegally and unsafely. So we would love to just be that strategic partner with the village. And just to Capri's point, we're not just opening in a random location, hence why we felt that it was necessary for us to come before the board today and just introduce ourselves. Whether we move forward with that location or not, Ossining is somewhere that we plan to be. So at this point, if you guys have any questions for us, I'd be happy to answer, and I appreciate you guys' time nonetheless.
Thank you very much. Really appreciate it. Totally different perspective than the previous. I'm sure you sat through previous presenters. So this is great that the board gets to see different views, different strategies, different issues that are raised, etc. A little hard for us. I don't know how we're going to do a letter since this is not like we don't have a location, whatever. We have a potential location. I'd like to start and just ask you the similar question since you heard it before. If you don't have a location, I guess I can't ask you how many people you're hiring because, maybe you decide a different location that's half the size or 3 times the size. So let's skip that. You mentioned a lot of titles. They all seem to be people that are related to one another. I got loud and clear that it's a local, which I very much appreciate. Because you heard me and all of us ask similar questions, so it's appreciated. But who owns this business specifically? Aside from titles, who is actually the owner of the establishment that you plan to have in Ossining? And what percentage equity do they hold?
So it's me and my mom, Joan.
Yes. Hey, Joan.
So as you
Yes.
know, every license is different, but the way the current one is structured, my mom's 51% owner as the SEE applicant, the woman-owned minority, and then I own the other 49%.
Okay. Well, great, thank you. So the 2 of you own 100% of this particular company. I missed it, and I know you said it, or I think it was said. How many working stores do you currently have?
So-
Yeah, there's a partnership. Ones that are not in pipelines, actually working. I heard one, but I didn't hear if there are others.
Just one in Cortland Manor right next door to Kohl's.
Oh, okay. I actually know where that is. How's that going?
It's going great. I mean, Dr. Becker and his team kind of took a different approach. They pre-zoned where you can put a dispensary, and the way the cards were dealt, we already have possession of the location. But Cortland couldn't have picked a better location for a dispensary.
That's actually is a good location, I have to say that. And you have the highway there and everything. That is good. Glad to hear that. It works well for me. So, if you don't know the store, then you don't know how many people you're going to hire either. So that's something else to think about. Okay. So I'm not going to ask you all the rest because without a building, there's nothing much to ask you. We'll ask the staff once you do move or don't move. You don't seem to have, at least I heard someone say, the moratorium is actually a smart thing to do for a board. I think that was actually said at the beginning. I appreciate your confidence in that and appreciate that you understand our position. So that's helpful. Should I start with you, Bob?
Sure. I just have one question. Understanding that you guys are unsure, there was nothing as far as how big of a building you were looking to put up on this property. Do you have any idea or rough? I mean, I don't need drawings. I'm just saying, how big of a building did you plan on putting on there?
Yeah, so we take a kind of like a big box retail approach, even though we are small owned and operated. So we're looking at a building at least between 3,500 and 4,500 square feet. The biggest thing for us with that location, which was kind of swaying the decision, was the traffic survey we were looking to do. Whether it was required or not, we can't inconvenience our customers, and we definitely don't want to add any more traffic to that area of Highland that's already there. So that was a big swaying decision for us, was just the amount of traffic that was going to be put in that one location.
Thank you.
Okay. That was
That's
that was
all I wanted to know.
okay. Can I go to you, Deputy Mayor?
Yeah, for sure. Thank you for coming to present to us. I've been to King's in Cortland Manor, and I have to say that the employees that I've encountered, there's one specific gentleman whose name I don't remember, but he was more enthusiastic to sell me this product than anyone's tried to sell me anything ever. He just loved it. He loved it. He nerded out on it, and the passion that came through. I said, "Wow, this brother loves it. God bless. You found your calling," and that really came through in the environment. Being in this seat, we've been discussing dispensaries for some time, and I appreciate that for the most part, folks haven't. It's like an Apple store. We've kind of moved away from that. We now have a better sense of what these things are, and like the gentleman in the video said, they can really range in what they look like in terms of quality. But King's, I think, is up there in terms of what quality looks like. So, if there is any way that you could be in Ossining, that would be an example of what a quality dispensary would look like. That's because it's not just about how you're kind of formulated, and it is everything that you're looking for. Safe, brightly lit, convenient, all the things that we talk about, the parking, all that, but also it adds to that space. If you weren't there, it would be worse than what it is now, and that's what I would want a place to be in Ossining, that it would add. So I think the thoughtfulness with which you are moving in terms of the traffic patterns is indicative of the way that you move. I love that it's a family venture. The comments that I made to the last dispensary, this is kind of the inverse. You're heavy on community. I think that's amazing. And so what we will be looking for is the specifics when you're able to provide them. That's going to be really important to us to ensure that the particulars are right. But given your track record, I have no doubt. So thanks.
Can I just ask one more, Dana, before that I left off? Which is, I asked the previous presenters, and for us, this is also educational. That's why things are public. They take time. This is how we really learn. What's your expected revenue? And I know you could do ballpark, but you must have something or you wouldn't even be pursuing this. Every business has expected monthly or quarterly or annual revenue. What's yours
Yeah,
in Ossining?
so everything's about speed to market and location, right? So a location like what we're trying to build could pretty much, be that primary choice for the area. If I had to guess, I would say probably about 10 to 12 million dollars annually.
Okay. We're getting like huge ranges, so it's, and again, it is about 1 million, which is what the other presenter said, different than the previous one tonight. We're just trying to get, it's all new, right? And you can look at other states, but everything's a little different. So thanks for that answer. Dana, back to you. If you
Well, as someone who always does her research, I've been to King's House of Fire as well. It's like Disneyland of cannabis. You go in there, it's like the best, and so many products. I don't, it was like mind blowing, but it's a lot of fun to go there. And I was wondering if you were related to King Shell, and you are, which makes it even better. And I know you're the largest in Westchester, but are you looking to solely build your own building, or are you thinking about renting rather than building on that site? Or because that's going to take a while. That slows things down to build a building in this day and age.
Yes, absolutely. And that's like the kind of reason why we're torn, because we searched all up and down Highland. Ossining is definitely the place we want to be, but there's just no real estate out there. We actually looked at the same location that the prior team presented, the 140 South Highland. And again, it didn't fit our business module, so we kind of respectfully declined. But we're just looking for that perfect location, and if it's not a match, we're just not doing it.
Well, I think that I think you guys are really a good fit for Ossining, and I'd like to see something happen down the line. So
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dana. Is there anything I'm going to ask again? Pat, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I see your hand. Sorry, Pat.
Thanks. Appreciate the the presentation and insight. Thank you so much. I'm going to ask similar questions to the previous presentation, but I think, without the specific location, obviously you can't do the business model quite yet, right? But if it's going to be, is your thinking that it's kind of similar to your Cortland store, your Cortland location, or like potentially a little smaller, and so if that's the case, then, what's your traffic like up in Cortland, to just give a sense of kind of like the business flow and stuff?
Absolutely. So, same interior design, definitely not as big.
Okay.
We did want to kind of create like a drive-through concept. But our traffic in Cortland, to answer your question, we see anywhere from 400 to about 600 people a day.
Oh, a day?
Per day.
Got it. Okay. And so the ring is probably about the same then, actually, because if the previous individual was saying it's, 100 or so people, 100 a day, and 100, you're saying 400 people, that's like actually 4 times the annual revenue. So, the ring is about the same as from my perspective, at least just the high level math. So that actually makes sense to me. What percent do you currently do delivery in Cortland?
Yes.
So what percentage of the business is delivery versus walk-in?
Yeah, so 65% of our orders are online, 20% is in store, and then the 10 to 15% are deliveries.
Got it. And the online orders, are those pickup?
Yes, that's just ready for pickup, and we have curbside spots as well.
Got it. So BOPSIS, right? So and then I take it, obviously you've figured out the regulatory requirements associated with ensuring the right people, and that, legal and all that kind of stuff, and out at the curb, right? Do you have handhelds? Is that how you do that? Like to scan like driver's licenses? Is that how you do that at the curb?
So believe it or not, it's not a state reg to scan the ID.
Okay.
If you've ever been to a dispensary in New York City, they don't even check your ID.
Yeah.
But we usually just check it by the scanner. We have we have 2 scanners, one for the store and then one for the curbside as well.
Got it. Okay, fair enough. So, okay, that's interesting. So I appreciate that. So, yeah, like until you like actually get a location and you can build out the financials of the model, then, some of the financial questions are a little bit kind of, the cart before the horse, sort of from that perspective. I do also appreciate the background and some of the what you're doing from a local perspective, and understanding that. So I appreciate that. So thank you very much. Okay.
I thought just one thing
Thank you, folks.
Yep.
Oh,
to tie in one more thing, not that it really matters, but another thing was that we just got out of a quarterly meeting. So us being in the plaza with 2 big conglomerates or chain, franchises, we have meetings where they kind of like give us an update on how the plaza is just running as a whole. And they all reported month over month growth ever since we've been here for the last 12 months. So, considering that you guys are opening dispensaries in Austin, hopefully that trickles down to other local businesses, and it just brings other businesses up in any way.
Got it. So
I read somewhere that Kohl's is actually doing much better. So
Crushing it.
probably it's all thanks to you that Kohl's right next to you.
can't be their multi.
Well,
advertising.
Gotta go shopping after, but
yeah, well, yeah,
It's-
I agree. I'd argue that probably like, maybe not 100%, but I would bet probably 80% of the traffic at your King's is probably incremental to Kohl's. So
Yeah, it's the other way around. So we're good. Thank you, folks, all of you, and thank you for staying with us through the meeting. I think we're good. And I think it was good that you were here. I'm not sure how we would do a letter based on sort of a presentation, and whether we want to see people twice. That's sort of not fair to the others. We'll have to figure that out. It's all a big learning curve for all of us, and it's a good learning curve, because the goal has been, bring business and elevate all the community. Every couple of decades, they change. So great. Thank you, Maddie, and everybody else that's been working on it. And I think We are good. So thank you all for being here. Very much appreciated. And hopefully we'll continue the conversations.
Thank you. Do I
Thank
have a motion to adjourn to executive session for collective bargain?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, 10:19, and we are done for tonight. We will be on again next Wednesday for a business session. The next couple of months are going to be pretty busy, all of us. That's usually the case this time of the year. Have a wonderful evening.